going on, everybody out there? Welcome to Hope Land. We back at it again for another session. I hope you guys had a good time off. We curated another fire class for you guys this week, and we're gonna do the like we traditionally do and switch off after the first half, and then Nana's gonna knock out the second half. But there was some homework. There was some stuff to do over the break. I hope you guys did it. There was a weekend class about stuck. Those of you who felt the need to be a part of it, I hope you went, because this is about action. It's about taking action. There's a saying in entrepreneurship where they say, if you want to be an entrepreneur, and they talk about the 8.4 billion people on the planet, right? You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to get somewhere, you want to achieve something. The first 80%, you ain't got to worry about, because they too fucking lazy to get it anyway. They want it, they see it, they excited about it, they got the same dream as you, but the first 80, you ain't even got to worry about. Your competition or the people in your space is just the 20%. Just 20%. Now, of that 20%, that's where you have to differentiate yourself amongst your peers and the people you want to get it from. Remember that. So what percentage are you when it comes to taking initiative to do the homework, to do the classwork? And anytime you're in the 80, your money's going to be in the 80. Anytime you in the 80. That's why I'm scared when I feel myself getting lazy. Fuck, I'm in the 80%. That means I'm going to be in the 80% of their lifestyle too. So like that's what gets me up. That's what wakes me up, gets me to the gym, has me stop me from doing crazy shit, or like curves me from, creates more self-control in my life. It all boils down to, where do I want to be from the gate? 80-20. Books. Did you know books? Most people don't even buy books. But of the people that purchase books, only 10% read past the first chapter. Only 10. So it's people you walk by and you're like, damn, that's your library? Yeah. Most of them don't even get past the first chapter. 90%. So it's a game of percentages, and it's the stuff that we don't talk about. But whenever there's homework, whenever there's, hey, listen to this podcast, you're exercising your mind to be in that 10%. You're exercising the mind, and it ain't always fun. It don't feel good. It's a headache. It's a pain in the neck sometimes, or life throws you upside down, so it gives you reasons to not do it. But you're you're practicing, and once you engage, because they say how you do anything is how you do everything. So once you engage in a 10% over here, you start bleeding off and being in a 10% here. And you start, man, I'm going to start hitting the gym. And if I'm hitting the gym, I might as well eat better, because I'm maximize this workout. I might as well eat a little bit better. And next thing you know, your 10%'s all over the place. And now your whole vibration is different. Just know that. So we're going to talk about the book, Ego is the Enemy, today. So if you haven't downloaded the book, get it. This book is excellent, it's captivating, it's humbling, it's beautiful. It sheds a completely new light on how we think, especially as black folks, especially as black men, how we're taught as black men to behave. And so we're going to be going through this book through its entirety in the next classes on the first half. And then Nana's going to discuss the mental models, which is next level thinking. It is next level thinking in terms of how you structure your thoughts and how you process your thinking. And so both is very high level. So those are the two things we're going to discuss today. I got a couple more topics before we get there. So we're going to rock. Let's go. Next slide. So this is a recap. So I pulled two things from the recap. Usually it always comes off of conversations I have with students between then and now. And because I believe if one person asks a question and is confused about something, it probably it transcends to more people. So worth and value. Worth and value are not in competition with each other, because the question was like, well, do they compete with each other? No, they're not in competition. One is still, one is fluid. You hear the difference? One is still, one is fluid. So value is the one you focus on all the time. That's how you get your money. That's how you have way more clarity in how you move. If I have an umbrella during the summer and it's $100 umbrella, you don't give a fuck about that umbrella. But if it's pouring rain, and you just got your perm done, and I'm standing next to you with this umbrella, I could sell it to you for $200. Oh, you don't? But you just said $100 last week. Well, do you want it or not? Does it make me cold? Does it make me cold-blooded? Absolutely not in business. You know why? Because that's what business is. If any of you are homeowners, the reason why your house is valued at what it was and not for how much it costs to get built is because of that exact same reason. Our grandmothers in the town bought them houses for $50, $60K. And because they provide more value in today's time to people, and people are willing to pay more and overbid on it, it raises not the worth, it raises the value. Somebody built their house from scratch. It cost them no more than 80, 90K in today's time. But after it's done, and if they raw at building and it's gorgeous, now you're talking value, and that value could be in the millions. You crazy. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say always focus on value, not worth. Value, not worth. Because if you think about concentrate on value, then you can analyze the market and be like, wait a minute, I'm undervaluing myself. Or in a lot of our cases, I'm overvaluing myself. And some of y'all tripping because you're like, I know my worth. I know my worth. I'm not budging until I get what I'm worth. Well, the market is telling you you ain't worth what you think you're worth right now. The market is telling you that. Isn't it more value to decrease what you think, to decrease the value in what you're asking for, to get the experience, to learn the game, so that over time you can increase the value? Because it's learning. Okay, you worth $200 an hour. Really? Where'd you get that number from? My partner. My partner is getting $200 an hour and told me I can get $200 an hour. Okay, cool. Well, how much experience do you got? I just started. Okay, so who have you helped get the results, $200 an hour results with? Nobody. So you gonna practice on my money? You gonna practice on my money? Because we're over. Some of us overvalue. Let the market tell you. Once you got a line, once you have a line out the door somewhere, okay, hold on, time out. I need to raise my prices. Once a customer tells you that seemed too cheap, you need to raise your prices. Oh, okay, value. How much is 100? I'll take it for 200. Once the crowd, you start monitoring the crowd, then you like, all right, I need to reassess my value is going up. When Fat Joe was like, prices is going up. Remember that meme? And hella people was posting it and reposting it. No, you don't get to repost that shit. You ain't ready for that. Your prices should stay down until you get better. Then that allows you to increase your skill set to raise your value. You feel me? And it comes with, how can I serve you better? That's how you get there. How can I serve you better? A lot of times, most of us don't want to hear that shit. How can I serve you better? How can I increase and improve your experience in everything, anything that I'm doing, any game you in, any business you in? How can I serve you better? If I'm cutting hair, how can I'll get you the better neck thing that smells, so that now you have an aroma around. I'll get you the fresh one. Like what oils are better for the skin, and now you can explain it. Hey, I decided to use this on your skin because it's better for black men. Like now they're like, damn, I will only come here because nobody does this. The question you should ask is, how can I serve you better? That is where our money is at. That's where our money is at. How can I serve you better? Now, intro to this was just, how can I serve you? And it took us 3 weeks to even like digest that one. But like next level, how can I serve you better? What can I do better? Yeah, we won, but hey, what was it? Can you give me one thing that I could have did better? I'm gonna write this down. Thank you. You just upped my game. You just upped my game. So now, hey y'all, we got a new product and it's X, Y, and Z. Tested on the market. Like, values fluctuating, but it should fluctuate up. Always. Even Nana does it. If they entering into a different market, they're not gonna walk in and charge the same prices that they would charge as something that they experts in. They're gonna test it out, and more than likely they're gonna say, let me just test it out. Understand that. Any questions on it?
Does that question also apply to, I got like a robot voice. Maybe because I'm in front of the thing. Does the how can I serve you better also apply to not just post, but pre? So like, let's say I'm coming to you and you worked with someone before and I say, well, how can I serve you better than the last experience that you had? Or is it more of a post type question, like after you've done something, to be like, well, how can I serve you better next time?
Both, I think. Both. The reason why you do, if anybody of us have been in sales, right? If any of us have been in sales, when we're prospecting a customer, we're saying, hey, who are you going with right now? Well, I'm using so-and-so company. Okay. When you say, well, what do you like about them? And what don't you like about them? All you're trying to slyly find out is, how can I serve you better than them? Oh, you didn't like the customer service. It was a little, well, our customer service is excellent. We do X, Y, and Z. Like, you're figuring out, how can I serve you better? The antithesis of that is blessed mentality. I'm blessing you with my presence. I'm blessing you with who I am. You should be happy that you in front of me. That's bullshit in business, and that's why a lot of people get frustrated sometimes with black businesses, because of blessed culture, or just take the thing culture. Now, a lot of companies are stepping their game up, and I'm loving it, because the question is, how can I serve you better? How can I serve you better? And you have to be palms up at all times. Somebody in your organization, if not you, somebody has to be palms up. How did that interaction go? What, you know what I'm saying? Because distrust is a real fickle thing when it comes to customers, because you don't know what trauma a customer has when they walk up to you. So if some cultures, too much eye contact is disrespectful. None is disrespectful. Some customers don't want to be talked to a lot. Some want to be, I need you as soon as I walk in and say, hey, how you doing? So for me, if I'm walking to a place because I'm a black man and I've experienced hella racism throughout my past, it's just automatic for me. If I walk into a place and somebody's like this, my brain gonna start playing tricks on me about who they are, what they from, and I'm like, I ain't fucking coming here no more. I'm done. It could have been a million reasons why they didn't talk to me, and none of them could have been racist. But that's where some of us go subconsciously sometimes. So you got to know where you are, the culture of the people that's spending their money with you, all those things to make sure that your cultural rules and norms around customer service are precise. Part of our business is team uniforms, basketball uniforms. So the culture's shifting. When I first started, the shorts was right at the knee. 4 years later, it went up. 2 years later, it went up. Now it's mid-thigh. So if I'm not up on game, I'm out the game. I'm irrelevant. I'm irrelevant because I'm not keeping up. So now a customer is angry because the shorts is too low. So I already know what's going on. Who's the coach? Is he between 30 and 40 or 40 and 50? If he's 40 and 50, man, put them at the knee. If he's 30, 32, put him at the thigh. Because you got to know that. You got to know that. Man, these shorts are perfect. See what I'm saying? How can I serve you? I'm trying to think of what you need before you even need it. Next slide. Or any other questions. All right. So, this is another one, quick one. I'm not going to go too deep. We got a pastor in the class that is so well versed in this type of conversation that if you want more, go to Pastor Chris. But
can I get a amen?
But I want to touch on it. Start the dialogue. Because this is a big one, especially for the 35 and overs. There's always been, I'll say, conflicting emotions around money and your religious beliefs and whether it's okay, whether God wants you to be rich, God wants you to be wealthy, God wants you to have money. What's the church say? What's God? This is why this class is important. Because this was something somebody brought up to me. This is why this class is important. This is not a conversation to be solved in one class, but over the course of the year, you'll understand how to have a relationship with your religion, your God, and your business. Because if you move with curiosity and you question everything, you'll get closer to what you believe and still have a free-flowing, good feeling about building your wealth. Because everything in this world is built off abundance. Everything. There's no limitations in anything. There's 8.4 billion people on this one planet, and there's trillions of planets. So tell me anywhere in life where there's limitations if you look around in nature. Grass, trees, birds, animals, water. There's nothing that is just a finite small amount to say you're only supposed to have. It doesn't exist in our world. You have to understand as black folks, brown folks, the most important thing you can do, the most spiritual thing you can do in this lifetime is build for yourself and your community. That's the most important work you can do. There's almost nothing more spiritual than that. Is almost nothing more spiritual than that. Is to be able to build beyond yourself and your family to where now you're positively impacting the community. Even if it's providing one extra job, 2 extra jobs, serving the community here, or there's enough money to now I got 2 extra jobs and we can donate money to this. We can help build this. We can link with these people, and now our community as black folks grows because our economics is growing. Do not let any spiritual limitation you have, you got to go work through it. But this class is going to help you get there for sure. But just know that ain't no better work that you can do, to me, almost. Spiritual entrepreneurial work. Entrepreneurial work to me is spiritual work. I remember I was going through I hit the rock bottom. I crashed and burned. I lost all the money. So I was like, I don't need money. I'm going to be spiritual. And I went to the guru shit, and I went to all the meditation, learn how to meditate, and learned all the stuff. And it was amazing. And I was around all this group of these people who, had special powers, and they was all broke.
Oh my God!
They was broke, and they were stuck within a one little circle. I'm better than these people because my consciousness is higher, and I'm at an elevated consciousness, and I can see you. Man, all that's dope. But what are you doing? And some of them, y'all ain't got to worry about that because your community is different than mine. I got to go do this work. So thank you. I'm going to take that, make me a better human so I could do this work. And the work is building our community. And you can't get no more spiritual than that if you look like us. You can't. Because we all are leaders. So people are going to look up to us whether we even realize it or not. I remember when I grew up, I was just checking out older black men, just how they put their belts on and how they tied their ties and like how they shook hands and everything. Because I didn't know. You don't realize who looking and learning from you, just moving. So do not get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. This is entrepreneurial and making an abundance of money for our community and using it to serve the community is some of the most spiritual work you can do. Argue me on it. I'll fight you for it. I believe in it that much. I do. I believe in it that much. Questions on that before we move on? Next slide. All right. Anybody old enough, my generation, to see Willy Wonka? Willy Wonka? Devon, you know who Willy Wonka is? Okay. Well, for those who don't know, it was a movie about a kid, and it was about a golden ticket. And if you got this golden ticket, you got to go to the Willy Wonka factory, and it was an amazing experience for a kid, right? Amazing experience. And that movie was as a kid, you salivated over the idea of getting a golden ticket. Now, here's the deal. In life, we have been built as human beings to wait for golden tickets. We just have. The pick-me mentality is lodged into our psychology. It's been programmed in our psychology. Pick me, give me the ticket is programmed in our psychology. And here's why. So, when you start school, in order to get attention from the teacher, what do you have to do? Raise your hand. And you can't talk until what? She picks you. So it starts in kindergarten. You got to get picked for everything. Every single thing. You got to get picked. School, you got to get picked. How you get attention, you get picked. So you've learned from a young age to do this. I'm gonna wait my turn. I'm gonna wait till I get picked. Wait till I get picked. And if you wanted to go to a school, you just couldn't walk up to a college and just start applying. Even if you had money to, what'd you have to do? You had to write the letters and you had to get picked again. You wanted a job. You send your resumes out to these people who don't know you, you don't know them. You send a resume out and you wait for an interview and then maybe another one and maybe you get picked. Everything in life has revolved around you getting picked. Pick me, pick me, pick me. So life has programmed us to get picked. I need that golden ticket, lottery ticket, and be caller number 105. Our whole culture is around pick me culture. So when we decide after years of being programmed in pick me culture to be an entrepreneur, we're moving as entrepreneurs with pick me mindsets. All the shows you watched that you loved growing up, all the Disney movies, America's Top Model, she gets picked. America's Got Talent, they get picked. Shark Tank, picked. American Idol, picked. Right? An entrepreneur is like, what the fuck would I go on America's Got Talent? I'm going to go somewhere and make this shit happen. If I got to stand outside on the corner with a bucket, I'm like, I don't even understand the concept because we are confused. It's a programming. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. Remember the Kanye West thing with Sway? And Sway was like, what? Why don't you just start your own shit? Right? And Sway was like, he's like, you don't got the answer, Sway. I need Adidas. I need Nike. I need their distribution. I need their platform. There's partial truth to that, but also ignoring the fact that he had a bigger platform than they had because of the pick me programming. That's Nana talks about the dog and the wolf, right? We'll look at a 300-pound dog with 6-inch fangs coming out his mouth, and if it's just a dog still, we'd be tripping. Like, why don't you just eat people and get them out your way? And the dog is like, you don't understand. The dog's bigger than everybody. It doesn't matter how big the dog is. It doesn't matter. Like, you know how they train an elephant, right? Circus elephant. Circus elephant, they take a baby elephant. They tie the baby elephant to a post and they cement it into the ground. And the baby elephant will fight for days and days and days and days and days until that it's exhausted. And finally, it gives up. And when that baby elephant grows up to be a 5, 6, 7,000 pound elephant, all you got to do is just tie it to a post. You don't even got to cement it, and it won't move. That's what pick me mindset is. And so entrepreneurship is a switch you have to flip. And that is, I'm going to make it happen. And he's going to teach this in mental models. Wait, what are all the variables? So we're trying to get here, right? And why don't we just do this? And a pick me person will say, that's not right. It's not possible. Well, why?
Can we?
Put the microphone to you.
Question.
How do I turn
Close
it
to
on?
you. Close to you.
Oh, just closer. Oh, I hear me. Hi.
Hi, what's happening?
There you go.
Even closer.
There you go.
All right. Can we talk? Can you just kind of go one level deeper on um, an entrepreneur with a pick me mentality? What what because when you were talking, what came to my mind was like, oh, okay, well, what are the things that our culture has created, right? Our music, um, art, food, language, like a way of talking. Like there's a lot of things that our community has created. And at the same time, there's lots and lots of stories about how we lost hold of our creation, right? And now we don't make money from the things that we actually created, or we only make but so much money. But then when it gets commercialized, it kind of leaves our community. So I'm wondering if you could just talk more about how that happens, because it doesn't seem like we lack the ability to create things. Like we seem to be initiators. Like from my perspective, I would say Black people, we initiate a lot of things, right? There wouldn't be a hip hop culture if it wasn't for some kids creating some stuff, right? So my observation is that we are a very creative culture. So then where's the gap? Like where does the drop off happen?
So here's the deal. Art and creativity is completely different from entrepreneurship. So they're not even apples and oranges. It's like apples and walnuts. So the thing is, and it's a great point. The thing is, we don't know that. We'll move with the creation and take hold of the ownership of the thing because we created it, not realizing that the due diligence of it from an entrepreneurship perspective hasn't been done at all. And so we have internal culture within us. We got rules, respect. We have tribal rules that they're not going to touch that because so-and-so around the corner started that. I may not even know him, but because of our cultural rules, we won't even cross over. So entrepreneurs, the others, will come in and be like, oh, that's cool, with the entrepreneur mind. And they'll go up and check to see if it's been trademarked yet. I'm going to go to GoDaddy and see if there's that's available? hiphop.com? Shit, $6.99? Mine. Right? So entrepreneurialism and creativity, we're amazingly creative. History is full of our creations being overtaken because of lack of entrepreneurial due diligence. This is how it goes.
I want to add one thing. Something I have to work. I'm constantly working with 5T Media on. There's a difference between expressing yourself and running your business. A lot of people who don't feel like they're good enough because we suffer from oppression, we get into business to express ourselves. Right? Doing business ain't got nothing to do with expressing yourself. It's a whole different way of it's a whole different way of looking at things from a whole different perspective and looking at systems and moving those numbers. And matter of fact, when you're expressing yourself, I'll give you a simple example. When you're expressing yourself, you're often working to achieve an A. Just go back to that pick me. But when you're running business, you realize business is built upon C pluses. You rather move volumes than express yourself. So McDonald's is moving volumes. That fancy burger spot that everybody loves but goes out of business next year was expressing itself. So a lot of artists get stuck in, I want to express myself. You got to learn business. It's totally different than expressing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Questions. We got it popping right now. Let's go.
Okay, there I am. How would you, as someone who is a creative, how would you encourage or suggest that someone kind of move in that direction away from I want to express myself to now I want to move volume?
So it's kind of, first of all, it's an uncomfortable feeling because you got into art. The motivation to get into art was to be able to have an opportunity to say, look at, this is who I am, this is what I want to give to the world, this is what I care about, this is how I want to express myself. When you get to business, you got to go from micro to macro. Step way back, disconnect from the product, and think about moving those numbers. You also have to raise your value or your mission to something greater than yourself. As long as everything's going through you, you're the limitation. Like if you say to yourself, okay, I want to impact this, selling this photo is no longer the most important thing. It's generating numbers in the art world, right? And you can have expression, and you can realize your art can actually be the whole organization as opposed to this one little simple piece, right? But that transition feels like it's almost molesting your artistic side. And you got to really realize that it's a different way you have to think about everything. Like the whole social justice type of language we use is anti-business. Business is you're looking at numbers and volumes and systems and structures and rules and and you're looking at like, is it moving? Like matter of fact, you rather decrease the quality, increase the volume as opposed to increase the quality, increase the cost of producing the product, but you also lower your output, right? So you have to say, okay, let me bring the quality down a little bit, which means allows me to hire less talented people, but I have a larger pool. I can have a higher output. Also, I can find a market that highly serves because everybody doesn't have top shelf taste buds. But majority of the market is around a C minus. I hit them with a C plus, they blown away. And as long as I hit these other things that shape the impression of the experience, I lock this market down. But what we get caught up into is like, but it ain't me. What is me? I told my son the other day, stop saying that stupid shit. Because me is a constant evolution. Because I was saying like Haley Bailey and Chloe Bailey, I said, this is going to be a wonderful experiment because they both are going two different directions. And you're going to get a chance to see how two separate markets respond to you, right? And he says, well, Chloe says she want to do her. I said, no. Once she jumps in that river becomes her. And once Haley jumped in, that river becomes her. So me is always evolving and changing. So this whole idea of defining me at this moment is an hallucination.
Yeah. So here's the deal. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. So the first question you have to ask yourself or that person is this. Do you want to be an artist or an entrepreneur?
Because if you're an artist, that means you're only working for somebody, entrepreneur.
If you're an artist, yes. Or if you're an artist, it's on the side. It's you come home from your job and you do all the shit you want to do. And you hang it up on your walls or you bust a rap on your home studio that nobody hears it. Because it's for you.
He said bust a rap.
And it's your personal experiences and it's about you and there's no demographic for it. You enjoy it. It's your outlet. Now, if you want to commercialize your art, your artistic abilities, then now you have to look outward to the market. And it's so many artist graveyards out there because of this. So many. And dope ass artists too. Back to Shabisa's point. The creativity of our people is incredible. Incredible. And most of the time, we just want to claim rights on stuff, but we don't make the money on it. First time I heard a New York person say hella, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Right? Because the creativity, how we get is but we don't, we disassociate ourselves from the business because that's corny or whatever those things are. Or like you say, it's not me. I feel like I'm not being true to my artistic self. Man, the fuck you doing? Like you can make a living off of this. There is no real. There is no true to yourself. That was created by the culture that surrounds you. You didn't even create that. Here's another thing. Anybody who thinks that they're an individual, unique person, guess what? You just put yourself in a huge crowd of individual, unique people, and you ain't individual no more. There's a crowd for everything. We're not. Oh, if you artsy hippie, the reason why we call it artsy hippie because it's hella them out there. It's hella meditators. It's hella people with rocks in their pocket. Hella people. It's hella Erica Badu. It's hella of every group. We think we're so individual. There's a market, and so who are you being true to? To me, the best way you could do it is be true to your community. Serve your community with integrity. But you're building out. You're building out. So you got to make a choice. Do I want to be an artist, entrepreneur, or both? A lot of times when I say the both part, eventually they're going to conflict and you're going to have a hard conversation and detach from that artistic version of you. Go make your art and then detach and be the business person.
Remember the old saying, put your revolution in your gross, not your net? You can go make some money today and then build a separate organization to be rich in your expression. That's what Starbucks did. When you go to Starbucks Reserve, or whatever thing it's called, the Reserve, that's his expression of the way coffee should feel, right? But what made all the money was Starbucks. And Starbucks coffee, for those of you, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, it's trash, but I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings in case somebody writes, like they got Starbucks tattoo, but it's trash. But the reality is that...
Shots fired! Shots fired!
So the reality is that, a lot of times, but what we try to do is we try to put all of our revolutionary acts on our gross, putting a glass ceiling on our business, and then we can never really serve anybody because we're trapped by the limitations of our thinking.
Yeah, if you guys ever dug deep down and see who gets, say, like the most gangsterish 50 Cent song, where some of those royalties go, you'd be shocked. Like Disney and like, you know what I'm saying, Comcast, like those those groups, those businesses own the rights. When you trace it back, it's hella. It starts hella hood, right? What's 50 Cent's label? Aftermath, G-Unit, then Aftermath, and then Shady Aftermath. So all that's hood shit, right? But then you keep going higher up, and it gets more corporate sounding. Of who owns that? Now who owns that? Now who owns that? Next you know, you at Disney. Do you understand? Do you think they're like, oh, that's art. That's not really. They don't give a shit. They get the royalties, and then they go put that money where they want to put it. We have to switch our mindset around a lot of times. That's what we're working on. Shabisha. Shakina, I'm sorry.
I was like,
Shakina.
wrote it down.
Yeah, they cousins or something.
Yeah.
The show.
So, it's hella loud. Okay,
Break it down
let's
some.
talk real low. So my question is, when you were talking about the pick me and business, my brain took like 5 different turns and they all ran in opposite directions. But let's say you approach this in the way of like, I want to run my business. I need to protect my profits. I need to make sure I'm serving my community. I need to do like all of the things. But at the end of the day, you still are being placed in a pick-me situation because, for example, like I'm one of several hundred gyms in Oakland. So at the end of the day, I can still structure everything the same, but I am still reliant upon being one of many options that somebody has to choose, even if I do all of the things the right way with the right framing and the right approach. So is it not still integrated into our systems to be pick-me even as solid entrepreneurs?
Hell no. Hell no.
Microphone on?
Hell no. Is this microphone
Yeah.
on? Hell no. No.
How?
And here's how. There's three words you said that I challenge. They're the same words. You said, even though I'm doing the right thing, give in the right, and then you said right one more time. saying the word right is a pick me mentality. So right is a pick me mentality. There is no right. Right doesn't even exist. So right doesn't exist at all. So void of a pick me mentality, I'm going to make it happen. I don't give a shit how many. I'm going to take notice of who's all around me. How many gyms are out here in my surrounding cities? How many? Is it 15, 20? If this is the market I'm in and this is what I chose and I believe that I have value to add aside from these other gyms, then I'm going after it. I don't give a fuck if I Jehovah Witness it. Hey, how you doing? Do you go to the gym? Like, what body part? I could tell you need some work. Like, that's the opposite of a pick me. Like, you're not. Pick me says, what is my market and what is my strategy? So if that is, I get on a phone call and I make 200 calls a day, 300 calls a day throughout my community, you're going after it. You're not waiting to get picked by anybody. One of the I told you guys I went to a lot of like bullshit ass seminars, money making seminars, right? But one of the things that dude did was dope. I got to give it to him. He was like, he pulled out a $50 bill, it was a $100 bill, and he said, and it was a room full of people, easy 200 people, and he raised it up in the air. He said, "Hey, who wants this $100 bill?" Everybody raised their hand. Everybody. Me. And the lady in the second row just got up and walked up and grabbed it. And he's like, "She's the real entrepreneur," and walked off. Ooh, I'm like, shit, I should have got up and I feel like an idiot. And he was like, because most of y'all are waiting to get picked. An entrepreneur goes and gets that. Go get it. What's stopping you? I didn't say that there was rules. I didn't say you had to get chosen. Like, you break the rules. You break the rules. You obey the laws, but you break the rules. And so, if you having issues with, say having issues with generating revenue in your business, you're not making the money, you're not drawing in the customers. The beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is it's all your strategy. You don't got to wait for nobody to give you permission to nothing. You don't walk in nobody's office and say, "Hey, I think I've been doing a good job. I want to get a raise. I need more money." You like, "Damn, I want to give myself a raise. What do I got to do? What do I got to do? How can I add value? What extra can I do? How can I generate more revenue?" I've talked to 10 customers and they're not fucking with me right now. And now I'm gonna ask them why. Just be honest. You're not my customer no more. So we don't have to worry about the relationship, but just be honest. Why'd you leave? Just tell me. I just want to know for future references. And if they telling you because of this, and I'm taking that info and I'm using it for the next. You have the ability to be now like water, to be fluid and make your way. There is no right, there is no wrong. Because in some situations, wrong is right. I sound like I'm not even gonna go there. Hey. Wrong is right, baby. You just gotta listen to me. Yeah, I sound like Nana now.
I watch you. So wait a minute. Hey, listen. Wait a minute. Hold on. Now.
Wrong is right, baby. Wrong is right, baby.
I got some holy water last week. Leave me alone. Listen. You understand me? No. Check this out.
Check this out.
He caught me slipping.
Check this out.
RFPs. Some of y'all, go for big contracts like RFPs. Pick me, you just go into the process and wait for them to pick you. People like me, who works in that organization, who knows who? Let me give them a call. Yo, what I need to do to get through that back door. I'm cutting through back doors every chance I can. I don't have that, or you walk into a room and you see the money, the next contact or connection you need to make, right? But if you have a pick me, what you're going to do is go, "Hey man, I'm gonna sit back here. Can you get him to talk to me?" But if you don't have a pick me attitude, you'll walk over to them. How you doing? What's going on with you? don't do that. So what I'm saying is that when you have a non-pick me attitude, there's these invisible barriers that we're hesitating to cross, let's say you see a new business opportunity, like, I think I can learn that in a weekend, right? But you'll say, well, but I don't have no degree, I don't have no certificate, I ain't been approved. As opposed to entrepreneurs, practitioners go, what do I need to learn? All right, this weekend I'm not going nowhere, I'm gonna learn this shit. And on Monday, I'm gonna tell them I can do it and I'm gonna handle it because it's a low hanging fruit. I'm not talking about you at a high level, right? But a pick-me person is always, even when somebody says recession, if you're a pick-me person, you go, oh, recession. Mm-hmm. When you're an entrepreneur, you go, all right, time to make some adjustments. Mm-hmm. You're not waiting. You're not being picked. You're fluidly moving through society and you're reading the tea leaves.
Mm-hmm. Couple stories. Go ahead.
Because I'm not raising my hand. I ain't waiting for you to pick me. So, one of the things I was going to say in this...
Get rid of that microphone. Give him another microphone. That microphone
is the same thing. They both doing the same thing.
Is my yeah? Go.
Nah,
go ahead.
It's this one. One of the reasons why I love this class, and it's the evolution of my progression in this class with these books, especially Code of Extraordinary Mind and Ego, is because when I hear you talk about the pygmy mentality, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's from people that they're comfortable and they're afraid of what other people think, and that's why they're like what you said. It's like when you go into a room, instead of waiting for somebody to come over and say, "Hey, how you doing?" The person that's not afraid of what other people think and is not trying to be comfortable, they're just like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing, man?" So forth and so on, blah 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 blah. They're trying to get it. A lot of people with the pick-me mentality, they're stuck in their comfortable zone. And I remember you said not early in the years, like you gotta, as an entrepreneur, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if not, you're going to be stuck with that pick-me mentality. One of the things that I've learned being here again is I'm not waiting for opportunities to come to me. If they come, cool, but I'm going to go out there and do the best I can and get them. I'm not a salesman, but I'm going to sell my ass off to try to get it. So,
yeah. I agree with most of that, but this is what I'll say. It's not our fault as a society. We've been programmed to be this way. Even the most ambitious people can suffer from pick me because it's just we've been trained. You've been trained for years by society to wait until you pick. Now, if you're ambitious, then you're very active on the other side of the picking line. I applied to 100 schools. Damn, 100? I applied to 100 schools. You could be a super hustler on this side of the pick me line. Absolutely. It's a switch though. Like I was a bad kid in school, but bad not like gangster. I was bad like I didn't follow the rules. I was mischievous, you just call it. So I was always in trouble from little on. And it wasn't like I just did my own shit and I was willing to take the consequences for it. So that allowed me to always get comfortable being ostracized by the teachers, the students. Like I was just the joke of everybody, right? Court's not paying attention, or you got kicked out of class again, or you talking back to the teacher. So I knew I was never gonna get picked, and my mentality was, fuck it, I just didn't do good at school. I had a point-something grade point average, so I wasn't going to college. So anything that I wanted, I just figured I'm going to have to go get it because I don't qualify for nothing. My resume, don't qualify for nothing. So, and people thought I had mental problems or like, oh, maybe he needs some medicine or some pills to calm him down, ADHD, all these acronyms, right? So I was just rambunctious. I couldn't sit still. So I got used to being abnormal. So you never get picked when you're abnormal. So it's not the fault of the rest of the society who fit in well and received A's and B's for their behavior. Like in the report card, you not only got commended for your good grades, but you also got commended for behavior and attendance and all these other things. So if you were a good student and showed up every day, whether you were sick or not, you got an attendance award at the end of the year, right? I would be like, damn, how'd they do that? How'd they do that? You didn't get sick once? You know what I'm saying? Or your behavior. So it's not the fault of everybody. And I don't think a lot of times it's comfortability. I think it's we have been programmed. We want it. Believe me, like that class, it wouldn't be 200 people taking time outside of their life to come to an entrepreneurial class to learn if they didn't want to be entrepreneurs. Just literally, they're all elephants. They're all elephants. And it just takes somebody to say, hey, you want to try something? Hey, elephant, come here. Just flick that little human with 10% of your power. Watch what happens. Bing, and he fly. Oh, shit. That's all it takes. And then you, as an entrepreneur, you'll stop being a pick-me. You'll stop it. And you'll realize sometimes you catch yourself. You could catch yourself to be like, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this to happen. And you're like, wait, time out. What can I do? My boy, he used to play for the Seattle Seahawks, and he transitioned to be an entrepreneur, a successful one, because this boy is smart as hell, and he is so crafty. He don't wait for nothing. So he got into commercial real estate. So he has to deal with the city when he builds projects, because he'll build projects out. And one time he's in San Francisco. He submitted all the paperwork to get permission, and he doesn't hear back from nobody for weeks, and he has to get this project done. So one day he just says, fuck it, and goes up to the city of San Francisco building in fakes like he knew where he was going, and was looking around a cubicle and found dude's desk. And he walked into his desk. He wasn't there, but he looked around and saw all the pictures on his desk and realized that he was a USC alumni. My boy went to USC. So he called him, left a message on his voicemail. He said, hey, listen, so I broke all my fingers on the football field for you playing for SC as a player for your school that we both love, for you to not call me back and give me the approvals that I need. All right, and hung up. He got the approvals. He got the approvals. If you know about Steven Spielberg, he faked at Universal Studios and took the little trolley like he was a person and snuck in the offices and just kept doing it every day with a briefcase in his hand. Like he worked there. Until the security would just let him in. And he would just chill in the break room talking movies, faking it. Does that surprise me and him? Fuck no. That's what entrepreneurs do. Have you ever been to a Warrior game and sat down with tickets that you didn't pay for in certain sections? Absolutely. So that's what intro to entrepreneurship is. You got to break the pick. Got to break it. And we'll work the rest of the year. We're going to be working on it and talking about it and getting through it. Next slide. So, ego is the enemy. Be prepared. Be prepared for, like, your shoulders to go a little bit like this. And that's okay. Because we're going to pick them back up. We're going to pick them back up. But understand the first rule to ego as the enemy is that ego is actually not your enemy. Ego is not your enemy. It's not your enemy. But you can't change the title of a book. So ego is a part of you. Ego can be your friend. Ego can be your savior. Ego has been our saviors in many times in our life. Ego has saved our ass. It helped us survive and get through to the stages that we're in. So we can't call it an enemy. But in this context, we got to understand that our ego is not serving us. Our ego is not serving us. And once anything becomes a limitation and it stops serving you, then you got to question it and you got to be willing to divorce it. You got to be willing to nudge it aside. Next slide. So, and I think when you read this book, you're going to feel like they're talking to black people, period. Like you're going to feel like this book was written for black people. Because a lot of things that we suffer from in our community we're hijacked by our ego. And so to dislodge parts of ourselves that we can use to be better entrepreneurs, we have to learn this game and be like, wait a minute, was that my ego? That was my ego. So first one is talk. It's talk. Talk, talk, talk.
To some, silence is a sign of weakness, but the powerful know silence is one of the greatest strengths one can possess.
Hey, how you doing, bro? What you been up to, man? You know, I'm doing big things. I got this going. I got this. I started 16 businesses at the same time, and then I'm doing Turo, and I'm doing Airbnbs too, and I got a clothing line, and I got this, and I got that, and I got that. Like, we all we suffer from that. Why? Because internally, we need to feel like we doing something. We just do. We just do. Society is not built for our success. So the stresses of being who we are, man, like I want to at least feel like I'm doing something. I want to feel like I'm somebody. And if bruh don't know me, he don't know nothing about me, for this moment, I get to feel important. What? That's dope, man. That's crazy. Well, when you get the link, send it to me. I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna buy something. I know, because I used to do it. And I was popping at a certain time. I had a period, a hype cycle period, where 2006, I was that dude, right? Mm-hmm. I had it, the bread, all the cars and the chains and shit. So by 2008, I was on EBT, right? So then when people saw me, I ain't seen in 2 years, Court, hey, what's up, Court? You doing? I didn't want to even, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm still doing my thing. I'm just out the way. That's just, because I don't want to have this explanation every time to every person that, no, I lost everything. I'm doing bad. I don't want to do that. So once I did it once, it got addicting. Twice, 3 times. Anybody I see, it was the same speech. But the initial win you get from that feeling and overcoming that situation of having to admit that life ain't where you want it to be, there's also losses as a byproduct in that. It's a mental and it's emotional and even, I believe, a spiritual byproduct. When you bullshitting your way and you just talking. Let's go to the next slide.
Make it, stop faking it. The terminology, putting your head down, focuses all your resources on the execution of a step toward a particular result. Talking about what you are doing is like leaking air in your tire while driving toward your destination.
Yo, that's as real as it can get. Every time you talk about what you're doing, you're leaking air. And now you're getting there slower, and soon you talk too much, you're going to have a flat. And now you're on the side of the road. We heard the term too much, fake it till you make it. Stop that shit. Not in our community. Not in our community. Let's make it. Let's make it. The quiet ones are the dangerous ones in any game you want to play.
Yeah.
Somebody coming, man, I'll beat your ass. It's a crowd. You watch the one who ain't saying nothing. That dude's dangerous. People who talk about how much money they got, the quiet one is the one with the bread. All the quiet ones are the ones that with the most power. The ones who talk in every game are the weakest because you know they're leaking. Now, it applies to us too. The minute I shut up, I became honest with myself and others. It ain't glamorous. It ain't cute. It ain't fun. Hey, man, Corey, how you doing, man? I'm doing all right. Man, you still got your bit? Nah, I lost that. I'm back starting over again. I don't even got a car. Nope, I don't got a car. So it is what it is. I'm gonna get back one day. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm gonna get back. And once I got comfortable in that space, now I own it.
For when you're starting out, and let's say you're in a service industry, your business offers services, and you're out pitching to clients, how do you navigate not faking it when you're selling your services as a new business?
Great question. So it's not a recipe answer because every market's different, right? So some customers, you have to meet them where they are, right? So I don't look at it as faking it if it's equipment that's serving your customers. So if you have an office space where customers come in and meet, then it's to your advantage, whether you got $5 in your pocket, bank account or not, to make that space primed well enough to when a customer walked in, they're like, oh, I want to do business with you because I can tell how you curate this space, how potentially good your business is going to be. If you're a real estate agent, right, and your office is your vehicle, then you might have different reasons to buy a nicer car versus somebody else who's just faking it. You know what I'm saying? So, but you know the truth, whether or not it's your ego, you're faking it, or it's business equipment.
Can I add also too? When you start a new business, stop calling yourself a business if you put no practice time in. Your practice time allows you to be in the conversation. Rarely do you ever meet an A+ person customer, A+ expectations, A+ knowledge of your business, A+ understanding. Rarely you ever meet those kind of clients. Those are one in a lifetime. Most people walking through that door are D-level understanding of what the hell you do. If you're always reading your shit and you know your stuff and you're studying your stuff and you're really engaged in what you're doing, then you represent a level of substance. What fake it people do is they don't read like that. They just find the cool little buzzwords. They use them inappropriately, or they stretch the word way out of its meaning, or they're using the way that almost makes them like a clown. But to the person, because they know the person listens to them as a D level. But what happens is that they're losing. So old people are some of the most valuable people in our communities because they have crazy connections. Somebody can pick up the phone, call Obama right now, right? But old people see you. And they can tell you faking it, right? People who got real money, who's used to quality, they can tell you're faking it, right? But if you're engaged, they know the difference between new and seasoned, because you can't even fake season. It's a different way of thinking. Mm-hmm. But we could tell if you're not reading, but you're just walking around with the title because you worked at a job, they called you a director of art. So now you're in the real world. You don't really know what a director of art is, but you call yourself a director of art and you're running a direction of art business and you suck because you never took any time to learn about it, but you keep faking it because you realize most people listen to you at D level. So that's the separation between fake it and make it. Is it excludes practice. It excludes focus. It excludes commitment. If you're doing those three things there, you're not faking it.
Yeah. And there's a great point too to jump on that point is that the people in the business who truly know the business can smell the fake a mile away. A mile away. So it's better to be authentic and be practicing and have a healthy understanding of where you are than not saying that you have to be honest 100% of the time, but have a healthy understanding about where you are so that you can prime accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Because there's situations where if you're an entrepreneur, you're taking risk. You're going to take jobs sometimes that are bigger than what you can handle right now in the moment. And you're going to sell it, and then you're going to get back and be like, holy shit, I got this check. All right, how are we going to do this? Right? Because that's the game. And that's dope. But you still have a healthy awareness of where you are and who you are. Next slide.
being right versus being effective. To winners, right or wrong is optional.
Yo, that goes back to what Shakina was talking about. Do we want to be right or do we want to win? Do I want to be right or do I want to win? So in business, do you want to be right or do you want to win? Because it's murky in there. There's going to be plenty of times in business where you're absolutely right and the customer's absolutely wrong, and you're going to apologize. Man, I'm sorry you had that experience. How can I? Here, this is what we're going to do for you. Knowing that they overlooked, didn't do this, and they 100% believe it. That's fine. It's not about right and wrong. You know how many referrals we got from customers who was completely wrong, and we like, man, we take care of you. Don't worry about it. And they end up referring us way more business down the road. Don't worry about the right and wrongs. But if your ego, if you're dominated by your ego, is no way you can do that. It's no way, because I'm right. We have sensitivities, especially around as black folks. We just do. I was in LA last weekend, and it don't matter what city we in. I'm in LA. I'm an Oakland dude. I'm sitting across from a clearly LA brother. LA, the whole LA energy, right? Outfit, everything. Even LA folk, black folks in LA, they got their own faces. Like we got our own faces up here. They got their own faces down there. Yeah, the LA face, right? Hood dude, LA face. So I'm like 4 chairs away from at the bar ordering my food. As soon as I order, the waiter puts the receipt of the amount in a cup in front of me. So I'm like, that's odd. Why? What you think? In my brain, think, oh, you think I'm gonna steal or some shit? Like you gonna give me the bill before you even bring me the food? I don't say nothing. Guy orders, same thing, and then he puts the bill. He's like, hold on. Why you put the bill in front of me? What you think I'm gonna steal or something? I'm like, damn, that's crazy. We thinking the same thing. But because we got this trauma around racism, all we had to do is look to the right around the whole bar. Everybody got receipts in their cup. Right? So a lot of times this type of thinking is difficult for us because we go there first. But it don't even be about that most of the time. It's our insecurities that get hijacked.
What's the difference? Or is there a thin line between wanting to be right and getting taken advantage of?
No, being taken advantage of is being taken advantage of. When the numbers don't add up, that's when you're taken advantage of. If you even if you there's may be times where you have to lose money. See, don't confuse this game by being a weak person, by being a mark. This is calculated. You're willing to take the loss, not because you're afraid to stand up for yourself, not for you afraid to check dude, not because you're afraid to do any of that. You're willing to do, you choose to do it because it's the best option. It's the best business move for you. That's it. That's it.
Not a personal expression.
It's not personal. Yeah, it's not personal expression. Like that's all it is. So if you feel like if any of you in here feel like you got taken advantage of, you did. You did. You absolutely got taken advantage of because that wasn't the best move. It wasn't the smartest move. You just let your fears overrule the best decision. It's real talk. Next slide. Does anybody know what these acronyms mean? I say this with utmost respect. I say with utmost respect, because you do this, you're gonna get rich. It just the math works that way. When you stop talking, that hole in your tire fills, and you fill that tire with you working. Tone Vic is one of the most recent examples of that.
Yeah, boy. Tell them. If you don't, I will.
Where you been, Tone Vic? Where you been? Where you been? I ain't seen you in hella long. I ain't been. The story. Shit, man, I just stopped talking and just start putting my head down and start getting to work. Now my business doing good. I'm making this and this and this and that, and this is where I'm at. Now the challenges, the questions that you ask have nothing to do with starting. It's everything to do with scaling. It's a different conversation in that when we talk now. Hey, I'm having this problem and this problem. What do you think about this problem? The first thing's like, Court, man, I just don't know what to do. Like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm not putting bass in my voice for that.
No.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
You know, and I'm like, Tone, man, you stop. You in your own way. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a completely different energy when you feel the space with your head down. Put your head down. Where you been? I had my head down. Because now I don't care about what people think anymore. I don't care about what the outside world's saying. I don't care about looking good. I don't care about looking anything. I want my work to speak for me. And once you allow your work to speak for you, then you seal the holes in your game. And now you become center point focused on your goals. And man, I know. I think there's just an alignment that happens mentally, physically, and spiritually that helps accelerate what you're doing. Some of it is unexplainable, but that's what I believe. So when you do that work, you become congruent with yourself. And now you ain't leaking shit out your mouth to people, making promises, lying. Because one thing about the body knows when you're lying. It knows when you're lying. And it gets out of balance when you're lying. That's why when you lie, some people lie, they got to look to the right, or they got to they start moving shit around because your body is telling you, hell no, that's not true. And your body reacts when you lie. Ain't that some shit? Looking around, or you look down, or you stutter. Like it's trying to fight against your lying. Think about that. So when you're lying to other people, it's affecting you too. Here's the thing. I think we're coming up on it. We'll talk about it in the next slide. So that's why it's important for you to keep it real with yourself and be quiet. If you don't got none of this, be quiet. Next slide.
Can I say something really quick?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the subtle quotation mark words of Nana, practice the art of shutting the fuck up. He literally told me that for 3 years straight. And I thought he was hella rude, right? Like most people would consider that to be rude, because I'm like, I'm sitting here doing the work. Like, it's not like I'm not doing I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And it was funny because when he would tell me that, I would just be like, Nana ain't got no goddamn sense. He don't know who he talking to. And I'm doing the work, so he doesn't have the right to tell me that. And then when I did shut the fuck up, I started growing way more exponentially than I did when I was so focused on sharing what was the next thing that I was doing, because I didn't have time to share because I had shit to do. So,
man, real talk.
We'll do it quickly while you take the microphone back. I have a brother, and he's like, yo, I've been an activist for 12, 13, 14, 15 years. He ain't never did shit. He can talk to you about blackness like nobody else can. It gets so good to the point that sometimes I even have to stop and listen. but he thinks his talk is doing. And that's the flaw of a human being, is when you keep talking about something, you're tired at the end of the day like you've been working all day. You ain't did shit. Like you're like, I'm just putting this work in. No, you've been talking about putting the work in all day long. Your brain after a while confuses the two and think you're just so that's why a lot of conscious people, I'm an activist. What have you activated? They just talk and they just talk. So that ties in.
I actually was going to go there. I was going to ask y'all to go a little deeper in that, because being an activist it's in some cases it's like a literal occupation if you go on Indeed.com, but in other cases it's now almost like your civic duty. It's being told it's like this is your civic duty to do that, right? So in schools they're telling the kids to be that. At work you get acknowledged and invited to join things to do that. Like socially, being an activist is now like a form of status, and you're rewarded for that.
We're talking dog talk now. This is dog talk. We ain't talking wolf talk.
And so I wanted to bring that in just because that's kind of what the pulse is right now.
Yeah, well, remember, talking and doing share the same resources. Talking and doing share the same resources.
No.
Yes.
I love that one. I love that sound effect.
Talking and doing share the same resources. Your brain will literally go to rest when you say you've done something. Oh, we did do that? Oh, okay, well then I'm good now. We don't got to work 12 hours. Because wait a minute, you said that you was doing big things. No, I was just playing. No, we don't. Your brain don't know playing. Your brain don't know playing. That's why you can watch a movie and cry, or be scared, because you can fool your brain by visual input. The same way, if you're talking and it hears that, your brain can be fooled like you're doing it. Well, then, if we ain't got to do like we just gonna keep doing what we doing then. So all that's soup of the day type shit. That's soup of the day. 3 years from now, it's gonna be something else, and it ain't gonna be activism. You know what I'm saying? It was meditation 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It was yoga 2 years before that. There's always some kind of soup of the day for society, and then it goes away, whether it was truly effective or not. So understand, when you talk and when you do, it feels your brain don't know the difference. So if you're undertaking an entrepreneurial journey and you're serious about it, you got to understand the statistics. You have a 0.01 chance of making your business pop. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It's possible. But are you going to casually stroll into it with it? Or are you going to put everything you got, 100% of yourself in it? Because if it fails, and you can look back, and thing is, if your business fails and you look back and say, damn, I should have went harder, you fucked up. Because guess what? You underestimated how difficult it was. And we sitting here telling you the statistics. It's a challenging game, but it's a game that you can win. Because the beauty of entrepreneurship is, if you fail, you could do another one. You crash that one, you could do another one. As long as you're alive, you can keep going. And you take the learning from the last ones, you keep getting better. And now you're in the winning column, but based on your experience. But it's going to take 100% of yourself. And on that note, we're going to have a brief intermission. Do we got intermission music? Any questions?
Yes! That was the best ever.
That was good.
That was good.
All right. And you know the song. That's
Actually, that's Donna's favorite song.
Okay. You know I got this microphone. Hey, okay. We gonna get this started. Hold on, man. I ain't tall as court, you know what I'm saying? I'm just selling who I am. I ain't gonna fake it till I make it. All right. As we get started, 1 second. You gonna cue up the next slide? We good on camera? All right, you need makeup artists come up here. Make sure to dap me up a little bit. Okay, all right, cool. Before I get started, I want to share something with y'all I thought was kind of a cool comparison. You can flip up, go to the next slide. Oh, I didn't get that. That's tight. That's hella tight. Yeah, that's tight. Danielle's tight. I really love Danielle's work. Before I get to this next slide, let me just say this real quick. I was watching something on climate change the other day, because there's rain in the Bay Area, and rain has been coming in pretty fast. Huh? You saw what? Oh, okay. Pass me. Can we hit that frame slide real quick online? Oh, Josh? Okay, Josh showing the frame. Pass me. There's a flyer over there for frame. It should be on the edge right there. Right, pass it to me. Hey, for those of you who want to know, about, 12 years ago, I used to teach photography. And since then, Phi Media has inherited some dope-ass photographers and videographers that are, I'm actually a fan of their work. And so I talk to these guys because these guys are really not only super talented, but they love the community. So they're teaching a free class for photography. If you want to learn photography, it's a frame class. The class starts on May 20th, right? And it's a free session. There's a flyer being posted. They'll send out more details. But when I say it's a dope photography class, not only do you get a chance to learn the technical side of photography, but you actually get a chance to engage in some cool exercises. And so I'm going to suggest to everybody to make sure you look this up. We'll probably get an email out to everybody through the Hope pipeline. But I know a few people in Hope have expressed their desire to learn photography. So free photography class is being hosted over at our studio. It's our studio or here?
It's at our studio.
Our studio?
I'll put it in the YouTube chat.
Okay, so they put in the YouTube chat location. So I just want to bring that to your attention. But real quick, before we get to this flow, because tonight's going to be a great, loosen your minds up. If you're smoking weed, put it down. If you're drinking, stop sipping.
Can kids join Frame?
Huh?
Can kids join Frame?
I would, yeah. I mean, as long as they're not, I think we had a 14, 15-year-old before. I mean, we're not going to have 7-year-olds, we're not babysitting for you. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? But we had 14 and 15-year-olds before. And like I said, it's a very appropriate space. Anyway, so let me jump into this real quick. So I was looking at climate change. Can we all be honest? If someone didn't tell you about climate change, could you feel it? Be honest. I mean, like every day, could you really sense it? You really can, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I can. Because first of all, climate change is really complex. It's like this one thing happens that changes this, that changes this, that changes this, that changes this, that changes the fact that you can't get tomatoes. Or you got to pay extra $1.50 for tomatoes, right? That changes this, that changes this, that changes this, mean you can't get eggs. It changes this, it changes this, changes this, that then now your computer doesn't work. It's that insane, the causation link in climate change, but you personally can't sense climate change. Now, if you live in Tahoe, you just can't leave that weekend. And you may be in a situation where, your roof is about to cave in. Now you got to spend this extra money, and you can't go to work, so your money's a number, and the grocery shelves are empty because you can't have access to stuff because the trucks can't make it up there. But your brain doesn't say climate change. Your brain goes, I don't like this. What can I do? And you kind of personalize it to yourself. You know what's similar to climate change, almost parallel in its causation rhythm? Systemic racism. You can't feel systemic racism day to day. The water gets dirty, you just think it's supposed to be dirty. Court drove to, Pleasanton and Walnut Creek. Yeah. He called me up, it's like, yo, the way we live it ain't cool, bro. This ain't the way this shit supposed to be. But we got so used to this shit to the point that we continue to tolerate it because systemic racism continues to just shrink the opportunities. And we can put out the same effort that somebody could put out Walnut Creek, and the return is so much smaller that you devalue your efforts. You think you're lesser than because you don't have a society or environmental return by copying the behaviors that they get a high return for in Walnut Creek. So systemic racism requires a whole different level of thought and principles and models to decode it. Otherwise, you can't see it, you can't feel it, and you start thinking something's wrong with you. You think something's so bad that you'll devalue your brothers and sisters and call them N's and B's. When you don't realize if the environment was different, that language wouldn't even exist. Right. Like, you act as if like you got N and B blood and you just being true to your blood. Right. But you don't realize the language you pull is systemically set around you, that's your choices. Somebody may have 400 choices, you got 10. So you go, well, what was I supposed to do? You don't know there's work to be put in to increase the choices. That's not even a conversation. Ain't that some cool shit? I mean, think about next time you watch a climate change show, pay attention to the depth of causations. That's what systemic racism is. You will not feel it up front. A law can be passed over here that you don't even know about. It's almost invisible to you, right? Tightens up the faucet, reduces the resources. We all start fighting and violence goes up. We're like, what the hell going? Brothers out here acting crazy. The morals are dropping. Oh my God. Give you an example. I know we got more black women joining the program. Sister calls me the other day and she starts to tell me about how she was interrupting her man, her husband, I think they're about to get married. They have a child together. And he went to speak to the child and she cut him off as if I got this. And he said, well, you disrespecting my manhood. And she's like, yo, I gotta learn to respect men and their manhood, just, this manly thing. And I was like, sis, stop. It's not your fault. She said, what do you mean? If black men are out of the house for 20 years, women don't know what a man looks like no more. You don't have a father to reference. You don't even go to work and see men engaging in his business things as providing money for the schools and the hospitals and the banking systems. I would even argue that's why social justice is weird for me, for black people, because for 400 years, I don't think we ever had a chance to be a man. And so then when a man does show up, he's an alien. So it's not your fault you treat him like an alien. You don't know how to blend with that because you're not used to that image. Black women have been carrying the mantle for look, many of us here right now know mama took care of us. Let's keep it 100. Mama is one of the closest godly miracle things you've ever seen. All life comes through her. But she's been told she's not valuable because she don't do some man shit. Ain't that some cold shit? Now, don't get me wrong. I always tell women, I say, women, you guys give life, and often men have to give up their life for society to be stable. But young men don't even know what roles we're supposed to be playing because we didn't see it either. So now this masculinity thing is all over the place because it's a break in communication. Yeah, it's cold. Anyway. Yeah, I know. How many of you guys think you can read a Japanese book? Japanese comic book? and understand it? If they translate to English. If they translate to English, how many you think you can understand it? You cannot. Stop lying. Can you really understand truly Japanese comic book culture, comic books, contextually? No, contextually, for real. No, a Japanese book written for Japanese culture, you can understand the comic book. Not an Americanized version of a Japanese that's designed within our context. That's something that is written for their culture.
I mean, there's probably gonna be some things that just seem like weird to me. That's probably not weird for them. But I used to read.
No, okay. So Pokemon.
Fatality.
No, I'm saying like the reason I'm saying that is because the reason it's hard to understand Japanese comic books, you don't have those mental models. You don't have that cultural. All cultures are not the same. When you read a Japanese culture, okay, like when you read a comic book, you kind of know what the next scene is going to be. You can almost know what the ending is going to have to be, right? Like when Thanos snapped his finger, that whole series was kind of cool because it broke some of the expectation rhythms of typical Marvel movies or typical DC movies, because those are all mental models you've grown up with. They're American mental models, and you kind of know what the next scene is.
That was my job to those type of books because I didn't know what to expect.
Okay, so in Japanese books, even the win is not necessarily translated to American idea winning, right? That's what a mental model is. It's the core expectation of where a story lands or what to expect. If I do A, whatever you think B could possibly be, B is not defined, but B is defined in your mind. I'm supposed to have this in life. I'm supposed to do this, and this is supposed to return to me. Those are models. As you move amongst different groups, those models change. Models are not universal. They seem universal to you because it seems like majority of people speak that language. But if you change groups of people that you hang around, they speak a different mental model language. So the language of builders is different than the language of workers. Total different. The language of leaders is different than the language of workers. Me and Court can be sitting in a room and something will happen and we can give a look and we know what that language is. Nobody else in that room will understand what the hell just happened because they don't have those mental models that are deep, deep down inside. Like if you go to another culture, if you travel to any culture, anybody that does international traveling, the first thing you have to do is figure out what is their models. Because if you start moving with American models, you will find yourself isolated from the culture because it's very insulting. You're making too many assumptions. You're making, your references are off. Your perception, how you're reading things, the outcome. You'll be like, hey man, I'm sorry that happened to you. You're like, what are you sorry about? I'm honored. It won't translate. So the reason I use Japanese, because a lot of Japanese comic books are written around Japanese culture, which has different models of how they exist, how they move, how they see reality, right? And often, for example, Jewish religion. Christians often misread Jewish culture because Jewish religion doesn't follow the same values, the same mental models as Christian mental models. You can be Jewish without being religious. You can't be Christian without being religious. It doesn't work that way. So I could be somebody that never go to church, but I'm Jewish and I want my rights, right? But if you say I'm Christian, they'd be like, well, what church you belong to? Or how'd you come up? What denomination do you belong to? I don't believe none of that stuff. Yeah, okay, well, good luck on that one, buddy. Right? So what I'm trying to argue is that I'm going to get into a lot of mental models moving forward in this class. Mental models is a different way of thinking that once you start to adopt these mental models, let me warn you about something. You're not going to fit. Doesn't mean you won't learn how to adjust, but you're going to realize that the more you learn these mental models, you will almost put on a new pair of glasses and see slavery still exist in our culture. Well, if you don't have these lenses, then if I say slavery still exists in our culture, you'll say, I think so. I can see where you're going with that now. It might be a little strained, but I can see where you're going. Once you learn the mindset of builders and you look at the culture, you go, oh my God, we don't know. We're good people. We're hard workers. We're intelligent people. but we don't have something to work. We don't have a certain tool, so we not maximize our output. It's not a judgment against us. We don't have something. So I'm going to be teaching mental models for probably next 3 to 4 months, heavily. But as I introduce these mental models, when you first get them, they're just glasses. You got to get used to them. Here's the other thing too. When you learn new mental models, if you don't use them, they will drive you insane. You know why they drive you insane? Because you'll start to overconnect, overanalyze, overapply, underapply, overthink, and you're back to talk, and do nothing. So this mental model game we're about to get into requires for you to go learn these ideas, go test them out. Once you test them out, you realize they're just principles. They're just principles. Principles are like seasonings in your cabinet. You can mix them the way you need to mix them to get certain jobs done. They're not the end all. Don't give me a pepper salad with just pepper. I'm not eating that, right? But if you use that pepper salad appropriately, it makes the salad way better. Let me help you out even a little bit further. You remember government beliefs? Everybody like the government beliefs? That's mental models. It's that deep, deep belief system that's driving your thoughts that you're not even referencing. If you say this is the way it's supposed to be, in the real world, goes back to pick me. There's nothing in this game supposed to be anything. Let me say this again. There's nothing in this game supposed to be anything. There's nothing in this game that's supposed to be anything. Why is that? If you look at the longevity of human history, we've been all over the place. And it was all necessary for our survival. It got us here. When you say we're supposed to just be this, that's a mental model. It may work for you, may not work for you, but you got to understand these mental models. Now, there's certain mental models that don't really change. And these principles builders lean towards, and they grab hold of these ideas to continue to produce these different ideas, these different things. Once you see these mental models too, you realize that when you hear conversations of people going, well, that business is not fair, and this is not right, and this is not, you realize you're like, well, no, yeah, actually it's right. It's going to change the whole game. And that's where the artist separates from the business person. But when you hold on to the artist's mental models and you try to jump into the business world, it don't work. Because you continue to poison your strategy with artistic mental models, governing beliefs. Deep down inside, you can't feel them, but they're literally driving. They're like the freeway. If you say, I want to get on the freeway and go from here to LA, you only got 2 or 3 choices. That's like a mental model. Entrepreneurs, we build new roadways. We find new paths. And moving forward, everything I'm going to introduce to you is coming from a different perspective. Next slide. All right. Let's get into a fun one here.
The use of inductive data. You can more safely use data to reject than to confirm hypotheses.
Let me stop right there real quick. Young brother came to me the other day. He's arguing with me about why buying certain material items was a good investment. And I said, it's not a good investment, my brother. And he said, it has never lost value. It has always increased. He used data incorrectly. You can't use data to predict. You say, what do you mean? Let's read these 2 statements. First one, on the left side, A and B.
No swan is black because I looked at 4,000 swans and found none.
So how many times have you people said, it ain't like that. I talked to thousands of people. It's not that way. It doesn't work that way. But what you can use it to say is this, statement B.
Not all swans are white.
Do you see the difference? Some people walk around going, hey, this is the way it is. You can use it in an inductive way to say, okay, well, I know from the data, this has not happened. I mean, you could say, from the data, this is not necessarily true. But what you can say, from the data, this is true. You get where I'm going with this? You hear it all the time where tricky salespeople are pushing ideas on you. The data says, so we conclude this is the way it is. How much data do you pull? You see it around voting time. Oh, we ran our polls and it's looking like this person's gonna be the president, and then the person they're like, what's wrong with the poll person? Because they're using data incorrectly. It doesn't work that way. You can easily say, hey, we ran the data and we realized this is what we found to be true so far. But we can't be conclusive, right? Read the next second example.
I have just completed a thorough statistical examination of the life of Court Smith. For 45 years, close to 17,000 observations, he did not die once. I can hence pronounce him as immortal with a high degree of statistical significance.
This is how we sold shit in the black community all the time. They throw data at you. They throw these big numbers on you. Before you know, you're like, well, hey, there's thousands of examples. We're in a world of 8 billion people. 1,000 examples is now even 1%. Right? It's not even a global. It's not even historically respectful. But what he can say is this. So okay, so that's one bad example. So you hear somebody saying, I stated this data. This is how people get you to spend money. I found this. I read this data. You're going to be successful. I promise you, if you make this move in Las Vegas, you're going to make money. People win all the time. This is how we've translated on the streets. If you do this, I promise you, you'll come up. Trust me. That's not valuable data. That's no insights. That's poor thinking. There's another form of bad thinking. Next one.
Automobile accidents happen closer to home.
You know what's wrong with that? There's no qualitative research. Okay, you know why it happens most time close to home? Because most people drive close to home. What the fuck is going to happen else, right? So you say, rarely accidents happen 30 miles away from home. Yeah, but rarely do people drive 30 miles away from home, right? So when people state data to you, what I'm saying is when people state these big statements to you, I'm doing this for a reason. I want you to see how big statements are often skewed to us. And so when you're making decisions with your money and your business, and you're sitting around in a room and you're having a meeting, and everybody's quoting these big-ass ideas, quite often you're being fooled by the use of data because they're weaponizing data incorrectly to drive an idea. Then when your money's gone, like for example, let's say you're in investments. He's like, hey, like, okay, for example, so one of my partners was doing good in the real estate game. Another of my partners doing good in Bitcoin claim like 3 years ago. And he was quoting all this grand data. Oh, it's had real estate and the Bitcoins and listen, you can't lose data and it's blowing up. First of all, they give you a shallow picture. Throw big numbers on you, show you how the data supports the idea. 1 year later, y'all call me, man, everything went bad. I lost all my money. What happened to your money? Oh, I got all my money. What you mean all my money? Because your data was horrible. You gave me a shallow sample. Your qualitative research was horrible. And you use data falsely to make an argument it can't make. If you say to somebody, it's always been this way, I'm surprised. That's not fair. That's inappropriate data. If you say to yourself, hey, based on data, like for some people say, okay, you saw this happen with the news whooped everybody's ass with California and the drought. We haven't had a drought like this in hundreds of years. Oh my God, we may have to leave California. This is the worst time. We're in a dangerous place. Well, when did you pull data? How long you been pulling data? Well, since 1950. Get the fuck out of my room. Like, black swans don't fit data. That's why we always get fooled. It's never happened before. I've never seen it happen before. I can't believe this has happened to me. No, that's how the world works. And so we falsely make these assumptions. We position ourselves in business. We make these investments on this false, poor use of data. Hey, real estate has never failed before. It's the best place to put your money. It's never collapsed. Well, it did. You see what I'm going? I hated when I was at Laney College. I used to say never collapse. Like nothing can make it collapse. Nothing. Not even World War III, nuclear war, nothing. And yet people move with that. Say if once you invest your money, you're never safe. It all has risk factors based into it. But the people who talk to you, I had my accountant who was handling my books for taxes. She's excellent at taxes. She tried to get me buy life insurance, and she used data 3 or 4 times incorrectly. I dismissed the whole conversation. I was like, well, thank you very much. Walked out there and said, I'm not fucking with her. My wife said, why? I said, she's full of shit. You can't see a snake unless you can see the way things move. Because snakes can talk to a lot of mental models that feel good are the same mental models that keep you where you at. The new mental models that will get you where you want to go, some of them are going to make you feel very uncomfortable. They're going to almost feel unnatural to you. Once you learn mental models, you will literally sit in a room and can tell who in the room is really bullshitting you because they're using data in such a poor manner. This is just one example. There's so many more. But I wanted to go over this inductive data example because once again, it says it can reject information, but it can't confirm a hypothesis. Know that. So next time somebody's running game on you by investment, buy this, spend money here, let's go in on this, the other. Don't let data, okay, so here's the thing. In order for data to work, there's 3 things that have to be in place. You have to have strong methodology. You have to have strong logical thinking, and you have to have emotional intelligence. You said to me, Nana, why emotional intelligence? Because if there's risk involved, when your body experiences risk, rationality shuts off. Let me say this again. When your body experiences risk, your body doesn't have your brain doesn't, you have the ability to rationalize it. So you have to have emotional intelligence to handle high risk factors. Next slide. Any questions on that one? I know I hit you hard in the first one.
Can you repeat the 3 things that you said?
So the 3 things that you need to have in the areas of data for data to work for you. 1 is a rich methodologies, which we'll get into a lot of those in this class. Rich methodologies. Number 2, logical thinking. Logical thinking. Can you flip things on its head, look at different angles, different perspectives, change your perspectives on certain things, right? And 3rd, emotional intelligence. If you're about to drop $100,000 on a stock or a bond or a T-bill, whatever, are you paying attention to society and the rhythm of different things, able to read human behavior? But quite often, if you don't have strong logic, you don't have a rich methodology, and you don't have emotional intelligence, you're Mark. Straight up, you're Mark. I'm just gonna tell you right now, you're Mark. You just waiting to be played. Next slide.
Think different. Einstein's remark that common sense is nothing but a collection of misconceptions acquired by age 18.
No, well, you know what? Shamish, do me a favor. Read that again because I think some people, common sense, cut this one off. Read that one more goddamn time.
Einstein's remark that common sense is nothing but a collection of misconceptions acquired by age 18.
Did he say common sense? Wait, did he just say common sense is a collection of misconceptions acquired by age 18? So you mean when we sit around arguing and common sense is the biblical jail that unifies our arguments, that is full of misconceptions? Keep going just for a second.
Furthermore, what sounds intelligent in a conversation.
Oh, wait a minute, because y'all know this might hit Lumar Johnson a little bit, so let's bring it down a little bit. Let's speak a little bit softer voice. So he said, furthermore, what sounds intelligent in a conversation, go ahead.
Or a meeting, or particularly in the media, is suspicious.
Okay, so Christians, y'all had this before I posted this. Bleed nothing that you hear, little that you see?
Even if it's spat by me.
Huh? That was about right? Something, I might have said it backwards.
That's Jay-Z.
Oh, yeah. People, when you're an entrepreneur, you're not meant to be the same. Stop trying to align yourself with everybody. He just said it earlier. It happened to be part of my slide. This whole idea of trying to align with the most popular ideas, once an idea hits popular culture, it waters itself down, becomes confusing. When people sound intelligent, always be suspicious, not only because of them, but also because of you. How many times have you met somebody that impressed you, but when you became cool with them, you realized they're a burden? Whose fault was that? Yours. When somebody says something that's highly impressive, just sit with it for a minute. Just sit with it for a minute. Let it play itself out. Quite often, too, when people keep using common sense as their reference, that's a sign of lack of studies. Oh, that's game. Somebody keeps saying common sense, common sense, common sense. No, there's no research. Go ahead.
And common sense is the 80%.
Yes.
So do you want life like the common? If you want more, you got to be in a different place.
So this whole common sense. You ever hear somebody says, I'm going through trials and tribulations. Automatically know you don't have emotional intelligence. I'm out of this conversation. I'm about to walk out the room. Because you already know what's going to follow up from there, right? When you hear people keep saying common sense, they used to be the thing they used to say in the country community, well, sense ain't common. It's just not. And when you hear people that's impressive or they sound charismatic, right? They're pulling on, business, this is really important to hear this. Lock this in. Business goes against your animal instinct. Business goes against your animal instinct. The reason some people can wow you is they know what the animal in you likes. And they speak to that, but it doesn't serve you what you need. Let me say this again. You have certain things you desire. You're going to learn a lot of this in the next few months. A lot of things as an animals, human beings desire. Now, when you run your business, it's smart of you to put that in your business. But when you're the decision maker, it's different. Okay, this is not a dog class, it's the wolf class. So I'm teaching wolves how to be great leaders. Understand, you got to be conscious of your biological needs and how it shows up to the way other human beings show up to your space. So a lot of times somebody can say something, you're like, that feels so good. But a lot of business stuff feels counterintuitive. That's why you have to learn it, because if you just use your feelings and try to work your way, and I'm just going to feel my way through this business, I'm just going to grow my business, I'm not going to read anything, I'm just going to feel my way through it, you're going to fail because your instinct is going to betray you. Your instinct is designed, remember I talked about the climate change thing? Your instinct is not designed to live in this complex level. It's designed for one-on-one survival, 50 people at the maximum. Your instinct is around survival, fuck money, fuck survival, right? So when you get into business, it's so different to the point that sometimes you'll find an internal war of what you feel like doing and what you need to do. Many of you guys do what you feel like doing every day, and you're being true to your animal. But once you realize you have to do what you don't want to do, that's being true to your happiness. You guys get on with this? So this shit is not meant for you to, this is not, you can't feel your way through business. I'm sorry, you can't. It is a major limitation for you. You're going to have to train yourself to get used to, okay, have you ever seen people like, people who learn to jump in the ocean and swim? That's just not comfortable. Not in the Pacific. Now, Miami, I ride with them. California, I'm just watching. I don't even put my feet in the water, it's so goddamn cold, right? But some people learn to enjoy that, man. This cat's down in LA surfing, and they follow that shit, and they love it. That's what business is. Have you guys ever learn how to really cycle or do certain sports, and it's uncomfortable when you first start? You're like, this don't feel right. But then people learn to adjust, and they soar in that space, meaning you're capable of doing it. So responding to your feelings and responding to your comforts is not what this game is about. My man Broham works, man, this cat, man, look here, if you want to work out, if you want to feel like you're not strong, work out next to him. And so Broham strong as shit. Them cats do 25, 40, 50 burpees. Burpees. That shit. Burpees, young man, burpees is what we call sin because it hurts that much, right? And ain't nobody looking at that shit going, oh, that feels so good. Matter of fact, they always invite me, and I'd be like, man, I come up with more excuses than Jasadi when it comes to hanging out. Just all these excuses. Right? Because in the day, it's when it comes down to it, but if he would also turn around and tell you that his life has drastically improved by engaging in this uncomfortable experience daily. don't think this business stuff is designed to feel you. It's not about feeling. You gonna have feelings. You got to be true to your. You got to see your feelings, respond to your feelings. Empathy. All these things are important, but there's intelligence around your feelings. That's why they call it emotional intelligence. Next slide. Oh, I've been wanting to teach this for 2 weeks. I've been trying to shut up, and I wore my house out. I tell you, Nzinga probably know more about this right now because I keep talking. Daddy, please, I don't know what this means. I'm 3. Whatever, you'll get this smoke. This is gonna be the coldest. Hey, I'm serious. Look, everybody, I don't give a shit. Look, stop. Put the dishes down. Stop trying to play your arcade game. Tell your girl, sit down, give me just 5 more minutes. Run this one. This is should be just the most powerful, one of the most powerful lessons I'm about to ever teach you. This is gonna change the game for everybody. Read this first part.
Probability progression. A 15% return with a 10% volatility.
So let me be real quick. So you made an investment in something. Let's say you take your money, you put it in some type of investment. And you find out, oh shit, you want to get a 15% return on your money. That's amazing, right? 10% volatility means that 5% is almost based upon probability. Nothing's guaranteed, but based on probability, it's 5% is almost untouchable. But 10% is volatile. It's uncertain. You're not sure. So keep going. So a 15% return with a 10% volatility. Stay with me because I'm about to give you all the most dopest game in the world. Go ahead.
Per annum.
So per year, this is what's going to happen. So at the end of the year, you made 50% of your money, 50% on your money with a 10% volatility for the year, right? Keep going.
Translates into a 93% probability of success.
So meaning it's 93% chance you're going to be successful. You're probably going to be, let's use the word probably. I'm going to make it simple for you. I'm getting probability a little bit later and get deeper into it because it's one of the dopest subjects in the world because it's tying you to the way you really should see reality. Many of you guys don't live through probability. You guys live through false assumptions. But so it's a 93% chance. This is the most important thing you're going to learn. If you're a business owner right now, if you're a person, this is about to give you the most game you've ever had in your freaking life. If you're at home talking about your company depresses you, if you stress the fuck out, if you're in a life where you feel like some days it ain't going right, if you arguing, this is the most dopest shit I'm about to ever give you. So go ahead.
But seen at a narrow time scale, this translates into a mere 50%.
So 50%, okay, 50% per second. She left out the per second. But it translates into a narrow time scale, translates into 50.2% per second. So let me go to the next slide. This is the next slide, so I'm break it down. So if you have a 93% success chance in 1 year, per quarter it's only 77%. It's still 93, in that same year, this is the progression of 93%, right? Per month, it's only 67% of your days in time going to be successful. Per hour, only 51% of your days will be successful. That means in a full 8-hour day, 4 of those hours are going to go bad. Stay with me. If you have a 93% chance of success by the end of the year, per hour of that day within that year, 4 of those hours are bad hours. Bad things happen, shit went wrong, employee fucked up, lost money. But by the end of the year, you hit 93% success. I want y'all to stay with this shit. Why is this important? So within that day, 50% of your day is noise. It's not information. It's not even valuable for you to analyze it. You ever meet hood folks and they sound off on everything that's going wrong? Mm-hmm. Man, I'm gonna bring this person some help. They got me fucked up. I wish somebody would. Oh, I had a rough day today. Oh my God, it's so stressful out here in this world. If you ever watch me around those people, I look at them like this. Okay. Anyway, so they're like, this motherfucker just dismissed me. You know why I'm dismissing it? It's irrelevant. Y'all thought y'all signed up for 93 every day. To get 93 at the end of the year, that means at the end of the month, That means there's 33% of the days went bad. So you come in like, like Corey come in sometimes like, oh, I had a rough day. I'm like, what happened? But it's really lighthearted. I'm be like, oh, what happened? Now, doesn't mean you don't look for patterns. You don't look for patterns, right? So if you start seeing kind of pattern happen over time, you're like, okay, this is a problem. This pattern's going to arise, right? But everything don't deserve attention. If you signed up to build anything, 50% of your day, 46% of your day will probably suck. Some of y'all are happy junkies. I gotta be happy. I'm not sure. I'm not happy. Somebody said the other day, I had a bad day. Well, how long did it last? So you mean you had 10 minutes of a bad day and 23 hours of good day? And yet you blanket that whole day as bad? I want you to see how your brain is changing the ratios all the fucking time, because as an emotional animal, that's why I said emotional intelligence earlier, right? You can't feel this game. This is why when you see an entrepreneur, look, let's say you make an investment and you keep checking your numbers. Horrible idea. Because an investment that's going good, it's going to do this, up and down. Up and down. And those days it's down, you're going to be fun. Up. Oh, I'm blowing up. Everybody need to join this. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You can't feel the whole progression of the year. It's not possible. This is why when you're running your business, have you ever did QuickBooks before and you looked at your QuickBooks, you're like, I spent $10,000 on sandwiches? What the fuck? I don't remember being that hungry. Right? Because those small things, you can't feel how those little small things by the end of the year. I just spent 10 G's on a sandwich.
Somebody stole my money.
You can't feel your spending habits. That's why feelings, look, you know what right and wrong does in this game? Right and wrong over amplifies the moment when the moment should have no value. There's many things, this is why it's easy to say, you know what, you're wrong, but you deserve this money, here you go. Because it has no value. For me to argue with you, I'm engaging in noise, and that noise is stealing from the information I need to be extracted to grow my business. If 50% of your moment of an hour is bad and you constantly seeing the noise because the noise is disturbing you, you think you have a sucky business. You have amazing fucking business. Then you start building policies and rules around the noise, not the information. Now your business seems like a fucking prison when I come to do business with you. You turning customers away because you're trying to prevent these problems from happening. It's part of the game. You're running a business and my man comes in because, he's from New York and he does that New York steal on you. He got you. He wasn't, yo, kid, you got you, right? So he steals from you. Now you got his picture on the wall. You mad walking around. When I see him, I'm going to get my money back. It's no ways. You're going to take some losses. This is what the game's about. That's what this game is about. Some of y'all trying to win every fucking time. You trying to break the rule of life. Probability says you got to take a loss and to get a win. You got to have bad days to have good days. But some of y'all over here like, I got all my days. It just didn't go right. That's why I can't listen to you. You're ignorant of the thing you're doing. You're you're in the wrong language field. Go talk to the dogs. They like to hear that kind of stuff around the water cooler. Wolves are saying, hey, did you eat? Where's the food you think gonna be tomorrow? I said, you got some wins, but I saw the leopard got half your food, but you about to eat food tonight, right? It's more, and at the end of the year, you realize, well, shit, you got hella food stored. You kind of rich. But some of y'all feel poor because you focus on your losses.
Online is, this was very helpful. They said this was very helpful. This is about to be my affirmation. I don't really do affirmations, but this is about to be it.
Hey, well, let's hit the next slide. Let's continue to smoke these thoughts. Come on, let's go.
At the end of every day, the entrepreneur will be emotionally
Read
drained.
this real quick. Everybody, just read this. Read along with it, please. This is so, I promise you, because there's so many entrepreneurs right now are depressed. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurs. I know entrepreneurs are doing over $2-3 million a year. They depressed as fuck. And this is the primary reason they got the game fucked up. Read this first line again.
At the end of every day, the entrepreneur will be emotionally drained.
You'll be, wait a minute, so at the end of the day, I'm so drained out. Man, I had a hard day at work. I'm so exhausted. I feel like this job just really got me worn. I mean, I'm starting to question how I should be doing this. Sometimes I ain't got no time for that. When I go home, I might even have to hit my kids. I don't know what I'm going to do. God damn it. I hope nobody mess with my Hennessy because I just need some time to myself. And I'm getting my feet done next week. My toenails about to be brand new. This is a guy talking, by the way. I can get my toenails done. I get a massage. I'm going to Napa this weekend. I'm going to drink the best wine in the world, Black Girls Magic. You know what I'm saying? You see how I did that, huh? That's my flake. Shout out to Black Girls Magic. I'm going to drink the finest wine in the whole wide world. I'm going to do whatever I can to escape this moment because I'm so drained. Oh, my God. You know what? I'm into like more or less like, you know, I feel unseen sometimes. I feel like people don't feel me. I just need, you know, Brene Brown is so important because she says empathy and touching yourself is so important. Matter of fact, you know, I learned how to touch myself without even masturbating because it's the most important thing to do is believe in yourself.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
At the end of every day, the entrepreneur will be emotionally drained. Next.
A minute-by-minute examination of his performance means that each day, assuming 8 hours per day, he will have 241 pleasurable minutes against 239 unpleasurable ones.
Ooh, wait a minute. You had this, and you know how your brain does. Your brain, especially the hood, drama translates to status. If you walk into a room in the hood and say, I got some drama, they'd be like, we need to listen to you. If you go into a hood and say, everything's great, they'd be like, well, sit your happy ass down. And I'm like, that's how I grew up. I don't know about y'all, but that's how I grew up, right? So to have 241 minutes of pleasure, that means it goes against 230 minutes of unpleasure. Is that some cold shit? Like, what are you focusing on? Why is your happiness messed up? Because you're looking at minute-by-minute calls, but what hijacks your brain is the unpleasurable moments. Keep going.
These amount to 60,688 and 60,271, respectively, per year.
Wait a minute. Did you say if you had a 93% successful year, that means you had 60,271 bad moments? And you wonder why none of them don't give a shit? Y'all remember I used to say the old phrase, 2 years ago, fuck your life? Right? Because some of y'all life was just on a 6271. You wasn't on a 60. Look, okay, yes, we all have bad times. All of us been constipated and all of us thrown up. But goddamn, I don't want to hear it every time we talk. It's kind of uncomfortable. Some of y'all just, as soon as you see me, excuse me, I'm not into this. And here's a call. You got a whole bunch of just sick people around you. Be like, yeah, I'm sick too. Oh my God, what you get? Oh, I got this too. I'm thinking about wearing a mask. I ain't wearing no mask. Fuck that girl. This is real life here. This is the rhythm of life. This is life you were born in. You think because you was born, God said, oh my God, I've been getting everything wrong. Let me fix it for you, baby. Shit. You understand me? Keep going.
Now realize that if the unpleasurable minute is worse in reverse pleasure than the pleasurable minute is in pleasure terms, then the entrepreneur incurs a large deficit when examining his performance at a high frequency.
Whoa. Whoa. Remember I keep telling you guys, don't go low frequency, go high frequency. You know how social justice make you low frequency? This is why we can't get ourselves out of racism. It's too low frequency. You can't see social issues. Your frequency too low. White people got to be racist. Somebody got to hurt your feelings. Somebody got to be homophobic. Somebody got to be snack shaming. That's what I heard today. I fell out my goddamn chair. Somebody said they were snack shaming. Like because their kid went to school with Pringles and the teacher said don't bring unhealthy food. And the mother said, oh, they were snack shaming. I literally fell out my chair at the house. I couldn't take it. I couldn't stop laughing, right? But the reality is that when you low frequency in all this game, Charlie Munger said one of the most important things for a successful person to have is a good mate. Come on, Court. Am I lying?
No, I was about to dive in on that immediately.
Hey, well, let me just set this aside. Go ahead, brother.
I was saying with that number, a lot of people have made the mistake of leaving their relationships based on the 6271. Thinking that relationships are supposed to be happy 100% of the time. And then they realize, damn, I had 6271 bad days and now I'm in this new shit and I have 805903. So it's absolutely important.
This is the game of building anything. I'm talking about for relationships, your children. Oh, I'm gonna have some children. I'm so happy. Oh, I love kids. Oh my God, I'm pregnant now. I'm about to have a baby. And you're gonna have 60.271 days of this gonna be goddamn. This little critter got me fucked up.
True story.
That's life. This over pursuit of you want to be in the 90% of happiness. I'm sorry, God made this world not for you. This is why anti-fragility is a problem, because you need to strengthen yourself to enjoy this world. Where does the strength come from? The strength comes from accepting that 6271 is part of the game and leaning into the 6688. Some of us never get a chance to join the 6688 because the 6271 got us fucked up. And quite often, sometimes we will hijack ourselves around the 6271, making it feel, might shift the numbers up because we're overcommitted to it and have a worse year. You get what I'm going to this? That's why you can't pay attention to all the drama. The news lately, I don't know, there was an article, I saw 2 articles, and they said, residents of Oakland is getting really upset because crime is going crazy. It's ridiculous. People just don't feel safe in their own house. And at the end of the news report, he says real fast. I'm talking about the last 3 seconds. He says, although crime has failed by this percentage this year, it's lower. Right? Crime was higher 3 years ago, but you didn't hear the noise, and it felt normal to many people. Okay, then this other situation, Nordstrom was leaving San Francisco. They're out. They're done with this shit. By the way, Nordstrom claimed it was because crime is just ridiculous. At the end of the news article, say, well, what actually happened is that the market just shifted because they don't want to buy the expensive shit no more. They want the cheaper stuff. They just opened 400 new Nordstrom Rack stores. They closed on their big stores because people have no more interest in that. But they blame the crime in the peak of the story. Your brain takes the crime part and makes it the most relevant part. But if you listen to me as an entrepreneur, Brian, nobody fucking with you like that. Why are you trying to blame these people like saying crime is causing? They may start a couple of t-shirts and jackets and pants, but you just opened 400 new stores. Stop lying on people like that, partner. It's the cost of the game you in. If you open a store right now in the hood, this is the right. A lot of us can't function in the hood. I can't work with black people because we focus on a 6271, even though Asians and Middle Eastern brothers and sisters will come in and see the 6688 and make money, and they live with those thefts. They live with the hoorah. You guys going? You see how you got the game fucked up because you telling yourself this is the way the world should be? You want to set the world for what it is. And you still stuck in living happily ever after like you some kid. Next slide. Too many of you guys are spending too much time with noise. Noise is information that happens around you that seems valuable, but has no value. Entrepreneurs, now here's the thing. If you like a little bit of noise, that's normal. But you, as a wolf, have to turn your noise way the fuck down. If you ever go to a lot of parties, they just talk noise talk. It's just noise talk. Oh man, you this happened. You see what he had on, man. You see what she was saying, but I don't give fuck. I seek out people who talk information talk. What you doing? Man, you know this how this works now? Hey, did you pay attention to that pattern there? Hey, it's something you should probably think about. Most people talk noise and don't know they're talking noise. So when it comes time to do something, this is why if you sit in front of a group of people and they talk about how unemployment, how racism, how gender feels unfair, when you ask them for a solution, the reason they are disarmed because they spend most of the time talking about noise. Noise, you can't build noise. Now, can you make money off of noise? Yeah, you can. Don't get me wrong. That's what a lot of talk shows are, right? But even those who run the talk show know the difference between running the show and the noise they sell. Big difference. I'm not demonizing noise. I'm saying when you live in your life and you're building something, when you're building something, it's so mundane. Like, okay, whether it's marriage, business, parenting, community development, nonprofits, organization development, that shit's boring. It ain't always fun. And it's fun as fuck. Which side do you see? And when the noise hit, can you weather the storm and enjoy the noise because you know it's the cost you have to pay to have the pleasure of the thing you do? Can you weather those 60%, that 60% or that 50% of that hour? Can you weather that storm because that's part of the cost? And you like that. You get used to it. Like when Brohan's working out, he's sore as fuck. Sometimes his shoulders start to hurt. Sometimes my knees start to hurt. But he weathers that storm. And then when you see him with something like, yo, you all yoked up. That's a storm that man weathered. But he enjoys that pleasure. He enjoys all the things that come up. Every animal does. Don't act like y'all don't. Every human being in the world loves status and attention. Cut it out. Right? So if you're trying to build something, no, you might be overframing, overvaluing, overstating the value of noise. I want y'all to sit with that shit for a second before I jump. I can't wait to teach this shit. This is why a lot of times you'll come to me and I won't even hear you. It goes in one ear out the other. You know why? Because it's noise talk. I don't just treat noise talk and information. When you say something information, I'll stop and turn around and go, hey, what you talking about? Oh man, the other day I was outside and man, this bird pooped in my car and then all of a sudden the guy came along and my tire went flat because of the nail. It's just like everything going wrong. I'm thinking, hey, maybe we get. I can't do this, man. Because that's part of the game you signed up for. I bought this new car and the shit making a weird sound. Oh, okay. The other day, so I came outside and somebody scratched my car. Oh, I get it. That's noise and it's going to release their emotions. But I can't change my pattern for that. I'm not about to get on the phone with you. I'm not about to turn my car around, come get you, and go for a long drive. I'm not going to go get your nails. I'm not going to get your nails done, even noise or information, but I still ain't going to do it for the noise. You know, that's just I just don't understand, man. I don't know if y'all ever been to a nail shop before. It's kind of hard on me to watch it. I was raising this little girl back in the days. I took her to a nail shop. I said, I just can't even sit here and wait on this. This is really hard. But anyway, next slide. Here's another one. Another one. Another one. Symmetrics versus asymmetric. Entrepreneurship is not about wins and losses. Anybody agree? If you say you agree, I'm going to ask you why you agree. Anybody agree? Because you know what I'm saying? If you raise your hand, I'm going to call you. Don't be raising your hand. Yeah, you're right. Now to be. Yo, you already talked to me, I think, already. Did you? No, okay, go ahead, go. You might know. Go ahead, go. I don't think we talked about it. Okay. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I gotta watch out for those people cheerleading. You know what I'm saying? You got on that purple on. That used to be my favorite color when I was back in the days. You understand me? That was the color of my Cadillac. Anyway, go ahead.
Pimp nay nana, please stop.
First of all, by the way, pimps is the lowest there is. It's next to pedophile. But somehow through generations, so to tell a story. So black men were starting to rebel in movies and entertainment in the 70s. and stand up and be men. And we're demanding high-level roles. And then we got flooded with these pimp roles. And they took some of the softest men in our communities and turned them into these flamboyant pimps. Then we come along and we come into our awareness, and somehow they've rebranded pimps as a quality position when it's closest thing to a pedophile. Anyway, go ahead. So I hate pimps. Go ahead.
You should change your rhythm if you hate pimps.
Hey man, I still wear my purple though. You understand me? Go
Right on.
Yo.
I don't know, my take. We didn't have a conversation on this.
Keep going.
But the reason why I agree with this statement is because you have to consider that more than 50% of your decisions are going to be wrong when you're an entrepreneur. So if you're focused on always winning, and like if you're always doing the checks and balances of, oh, I won this or I lost this, majority of your journey and your success comes from all of the knowledge that you get from learning from your failures. So
Good attempt and highly well spoken and a lot of intelligence behind it, but wrong.
Okay.
But was very intelligent. Presented to the point I did there was like, is that what I meant? well spoken like a bug. I was like, well, I mean, take that one. So you know what symmetric is? I'll make it simple.
Balance, equal balance.
Heads, tail, symmetric. Asymmetric means not the same thing. They look like the same thing, but they're not the same thing. One of the things that have abused a lot of women in society is talk about men and women in a symmetric undertone. If I'm this, you should be that. If I'm that, if you're this, I should be this. No, we're asymmetric. We're like yin and yang. We complement each other. We have a lot of things that seem like, male, female, we're very, very complementary. We both are very powerful beings. We're not the same. We're not the same. Right? I'm not doing the trans conversation. Don't ask me about that shit. But it's not the same. Wins and losses are not the same. In business, you can have 1,000 wins and lose your business with one loss.
Talk to them.
What do you think venture capitalists do all the time? I'm in the game of getting used to a whole bunch of losses because all I need is 2 wins. If you use the concept I used earlier about looking at that whole year from a high frequency macro perspective, the 93% success means that you're going to have 50% good days, 50% bad days. You could tolerate all the losses, even money losses, because you know they're all equated to this 1 win or 2 wins or 3 wins and you good. You may only have 3 wins for the year. You may even be slow for the whole year building up for those 3 wins and you had a profitable year. Or you can have 1,000 wins. You sold hella little small items, but it wasn't strong enough to weather that 1 loss. When you're moving in bigger numbers, when you get that emotional connection to rights, wrongs, wins, and losses, you can't play that game. You're not strong enough to play it. You can't emotionally handle it. It's too much for you. This is why I kept telling you, when Judge Joe Brown said he whoops a lawyer's ass when a lawyer plays this game of right versus wrong, they can't see the bigger picture. Because he's seeing the bigger picture of, okay, I can lose this. Just win that one, I got the whole case. You can't see that game. All you're going to see is, I'm right, I'm wrong. You can see, I'm going to let you win this case because you're a wrong customer wrong. I'm going to let all 10 of them win. But I'm going to reposition myself with all 10 of those individuals, and I'm the most trusted advisor. Even though I took 10 losses. And when you do those 10 losses, so where was I at? Scott told a story. Him and his significant other, they was in was it Seattle, something like that, or
Is this the restaurant story?
yeah, the coffee place.
Oh, DC.
They were in DC. So wife orders a mocha, and a latte comes. So wife takes her drink. Is that a mocha? Walks up and say, "Excuse me, I didn't order a latte. I want a mocha." The guy says, well, you have to pay for a mocha. She said, but I didn't order it. Well, ma'am, I'm sorry. You got to pay for it. Well, let me speak to your manager. The manager came out defensive. Let me help you understand the markup on coffee. That $3 or $4 cup of coffee cost them 20 cents, if that, to make. If they would have just said, hey, I'm sorry, here's your other cup of coffee, they took no loss. It wasn't like it went up to like $5 down because they gave them a second cup of coffee. But in their brain, they're playing the wins and losses game. In business, all wins and all losses are not the same thing. Y'all get that shit? So you could be winning in business and be walking around, popping your collar, your ego big, I'm doing big things. But you're not even really equating the size of your win, the value of your win, the positioning of your win. And when that loss hits you, you will think the guys have chosen your failure because you thought you could weather the loss because you had distortion because those small wins felt big to you. I've been selling all day long. I'm selling items. Man, my business is doing good. But when I look at your business, I'm like, yeah, but your insurance is fucked up. Your bank account's kind of low. I don't see no investments. I don't see no redundancy. I don't see no modularity. So one hit, somebody falls down. Done. One lawsuit. Done. Law changes. Done. Competition. Done. But you got drunk off these wins. It's not the same thing. It's asymmetric. When you start playing this symmetric versus asymmetric game, you're going to realize there's a lot of shit we say, oh, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. But once you step further back, you're like, well, no, there's different. They're very complementing, sometimes even correlate, but they're very different things.
Man, blood, this shit is crazy. This shit's fire.
This is a core principle of business. If you hold on to that principle alone when you move around, like I said, I don't teach recipes. Recipes are bullshit. It's like, well, if this happened, do that. No, fuck that. Symmetric versus asymmetric. And once you realize that just because things seem like it's a heads and tails, sometimes they're not heads and tails. So, business is all about winning and losses. And then you get caught up in winning and losing. And you'll start tying your value, personal expression to wins and losses. Sometimes you got to give up the money to get the next contract. Took the loss. Because I'm shooting for that win. Straight up.
That's why you got to be cautious about celebrating too much. Because if you're celebrating all the time celebrating the wins, then you're programming your brain to focus on the wins. And sometimes you got to lose.
And you have no strategy now. So I come home. Your family does this naturally. I'm sure this happens to you all the time. I'm sure the rest of y'all in business happen. Oh, you got that contract? Oh my God, baby, that's so good. Oh my God, that's amazing. You got that contract. Let me tell you what I do with my brain. Let me tell you exactly what I do every time. My wife says that to me. She applauds me, and I think in my head, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll be like, thank you, baby, appreciate it, right? I'm recognizing a human in the moment, but in my brain, I go, whatever. Don't mean shit. My people ain't free. I still don't have enough money to build a new castle yet. Like, I literally say that, I humble myself quick as fuck to say, I don't give a fuck, articles, these things are popping. People recognize, you in these newspapers now. I don't mean shit to me. People come into my business, what's going on with you? Even if I brag to you, I will literally calm myself. Like, say if I'm selling you, I'm using my accomplishments to sell. Look, we done done this. And we're on a Zoom meeting. We hit these meetings. I'm not lying, I'm not faking it. I'm announcing what we've done. I sometimes shut my Zoom computer down. Yo, people ain't free, bro. You ain't did shit. Cut it out. And I do that not because I'm not pessimistic. I'm very optimistic, actually. It's because I don't want my brain to play the trick on me and think that win is overvalued. And then I will overposition myself. It's like going to the gym and you train with Broham for like 1 month. And Broham he's like, yo, you doing good, boy. You strong for your side. Oh my God, you ready. And then you run across me in the alley. And you're like, this motherfucker knocked me out. Well, Broham didn't. He was motivating you, partner. He knew you wasn't him. He just wants you to feel good so you can keep going. You took the encouragement as status. That's why you on the floor. Fuck wrong with you?
I had a question, and you may have said it in all that you said, and I just missed it. But you mentioned that you are very optimistic, but you also mentioned that you don't put a lot of, you don't spend a lot of time sitting in compliments that you receive from people. And so I just, it's a question that came up for me, and I may be answering my own question, but the question that came up for me when you said my people are not free. So the question, my initial question was, how do you hold your optimism if you are constantly unhooking from that?
Okay, so let me say this real quick. Okay, don't invite me to your church, but I heck I love God. I realize, so because Christians, they so you say that like you need to come to my church. Nope, not coming. But I actually love God. Okay, 1, 2. I think the world God created is beautiful. I don't need to yield to my desires. I need to adapt to His greatness. I often bask in the greatness of life itself. So I'm pulling my happiness from sources that will never run out.
Gotcha.
Right? So when I show up to you, I'm rich. I don't need you to make me strong. I will never outsource my emotions to you.
Gotcha.
I have radical responsibility for my feelings. If I say, you make me feel, partner, really? You better stop outsourcing your shit and take some responsibility, this motherfucker. So at the end of the day, it's like, tell my wife, you're not here to make me happy. You're here to share happiness with me. But if you're not happy, or she went through when her early stage, she went through depressed episodes. She was depressed. I was feeling great. I was sympathetic, right? And I was respectful. But man, she turned her back on me. I'm smiling like a motherfucker. I will not let you, because that's such is life. And I see all the negatives. I can see racism like no one else I've seen can see it, right? And but in the end, I also see that. Remember I told you all people are good? You know why I say that? For 2 reasons. I believe all people really are good at their core. Now they may turn out to do some bad shit because they have a poor rationalization on how to get there. But it's the reward back to me. Okay, I don't wait for miracles and bushes to burn because that'd be kind of weird to me anyway. And I definitely will trip if you start walking on some motherfucking water. Now, if you turn shit to wine, I got a new business, right? but the reality is that I don't look for that kind of stuff. When I watch a woman have a baby, it's like, look at God. When I see you breathing, look at God. I'm the happiest brother on. Do you realize you ain't gonna be here forever? You the most pickiest forever wannabe ass I ever seen. This world had momentum before you got here, and when you leave, it's gonna still have hella momentum. My job is how can I impact that momentum, but the world doesn't evolve around me. So I have the freshest opportunity to live within the grace of God. That's the most religious moment you'll ever get from me. So I'm not coming to your church, forget about it. And if your choir sounded good, send me the CD. But I'm not coming. All right, next slide. So let's get to some more mental models, and we're gonna get to one more last mental model, but this one we gotta slow it down a little bit. And we're not gonna finish it tonight because, well, quite honestly, we won't have enough time to finish it tonight. But we're gonna get into this one because this first mental model, and this is the book you should be reading. We're gonna go through we're gonna hit about, out of the 100 mental models, we might hit about 60 of them. But we're also gonna teach from a book called Factfulness, which is gonna change the way you think drastically. I'm going to try to teach you how to think globally. Thinking globally is so different than thinking from your block. Once you realize how block is the highest form of ignorance there is, it's ridiculous. Matter of fact, it's limiting beliefs. And so I'm going to break, instead of me saying stop having limiting beliefs, and then you go, I'm gonna stop, but then all you have is limiting beliefs to work with. I'm going to help you expand that so you can start to access forms of thinking, and then you're going to realize white people have never hid information from you. They retarded your growth during slavery that you couldn't hear it. They can speak it right in front of you. You were serving tables back in the days. They were speaking business right in front of you. But if you don't know the language, you can't translate the meaning. That's so important to understand. They don't hide it in books. I can take you to a meeting right now, and you'll sit there and be like, I don't know what the fuck people are talking about. But you will understand every word that's coming out their mouth. That's the difference. So until you learn these principles, you won't even know who to build relationships and when to stop your moment. You don't know what is noise and what is information because it all sounds the same to you. And you're just guesstimating. Next slide. Oh, just Ivy. Okay.
Sample size.
Okay, so this is the first. So we're gonna talk about sample size. This one here is crazy game. Read it.
The larger and more relevant the sample size, the more reliable the model based on it is.
Now, y'all might think that's more said than done. You're gonna find out really fast in how your brain works. Keep going.
But the key to sample size is to look for them, not just over space, but over time.
So freeze. This is, if you don't speak the language, you won't hear how powerful this is. So let me translate this. Most human beings use shallow history for reference. Shallow history for reference. For 400 years, or about 600 years, or 800 years, or 900 years, or 1,000 years. Is 1,000 insignificant less than 400? Right? But when you use these short glimpses of history, I had a family member say, ain't nobody been more oppressed than black people. Have you opened your eyes and looked at like the last 10,000 years? You'd be like, God damn, them Chinese people went through some shit. God damn, white people was cruel to each other. God damn, this particular African group, they killed the whole motherfucking city. Then you start to get a feel for human nature as opposed to right versus wrong, good versus bad, and these stories that occupy your mind. So if you read that statement again, it says, the key to sample size is to look for them not just over space, but over time. So you cannot look within what's happening around you and understand truth. Truth is not within your myopia. Myopia is the day I was born, reality starts, and the day I die, reality ends. You can't see the world from that perspective. You got to learn how to push outside of your comfort space. This is why when you travel, one of the first things when Corey started traveling, he's like, yo, you got to talk to everybody, bro. Because you'll find yourself trapped in your ideas. And your ideas will feel like everybody feels that way. But what you'll realize is when you build something big, you'll find out really, really fast. There was a group called Maven. Maven was selling hair. Maven decided to push their product to the South. And this was when gays got the right to marry maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago. So Maven sends an email out to all their big clients. They're pushing out like volumes of hair. He sends an email and goes, hey, congratulations on gay people right to marry. California's like, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging us. The South went crazy and they were gay. Because they had this translation, being gay is sinful, but I want to be gay. And it's a confused duality that you won't understand if you live in San Francisco or Bay Area. So they got mad and told them to take it down. The gay community down south. See, so a lot of times we think, that's why I can't stand the label language. Like, black people, I don't really know what the fuck that means. White people, I don't really know what the fuck that means. Because once you open up the time and the space and spread out the ideas, once you increase your sample sizes, you realize a lot of shit we say is really small town talk. Yes, you can live in a big city and think like a small town person. You like that small town country girl. I came to LA to be famous. Come on in here, girl. That's how we move in business. You got to think larger, because if you want to have access to larger, you got to think larger. Keep going.
You need to
No, go back, bro, boy. He have itis. He eat hella food. Anyway, go ahead.
You need to reach back into the past as far as you can to contribute to your sample. We have a tendency to think that how the world is, is how it always was.
Meaning that if you really understood how over 100 years ago, how most people lived in rural areas, if you understood how violent human beings were 200 years ago to 100 years ago, even 4 years ago, it's unbelievable how violent we were. If you understood the death rate, you will realize you are in the best time of human history right now. And some of y'all acting like y'all was born 300 years ago. I'm not saying things are perfect and not right and can't get better. I totally believe it can get better because I'm pro-black. So why would I be pro-black if I didn't think things are supposed to get better? But some of y'all are overweighted because you're misreading the moment because you're looking at a small glimpse of rules and the way it is and time and society. You're not looking at, well, damn, over the last 400 years, you mean I can have my own place to stay? A refrigerator? Shoes? There was something I saw the other day that you would think, oh, that's normal. Oh, so you know when Motown was performing? You know there's no record stores, right? You know they had to travel to sell records. Did you know that? Like, y'all depend on these record deals. You know, back in the 60s, when I was born, they didn't have record stores like that. But in your brain, you think record stores always been here. First it was record stores, and now we in the MP. No, they used to be, if you was Marvin Gaye, get your ass on a bus or plane, go sell you some music to make some money. Then send me my cut. That's how I run Motown. You didn't process that. But if you look at music right now, that almost seems unimaginable. You see what I'm going with this? Like sample size matters because it changes your perspective of how you read the moment, and then you start to see opportunities you didn't know existed. Because when you get locked into this, okay, in order for you to do something different, going back to think different, slide that said think different. If you had a think different slide, in order for you to do something different, you have to think different. If you think like everybody else, all your creative ideas are self-canceled. In order for you to produce new ideas, you got to move different, think different, process different, live different. If you try to live like everybody, eat like everybody, drink like everybody, do like everybody, you're at 80%. It kills me when I hear wolves talking about, I just wish I could be normal. I don't know what the fuck that means. What the fuck you have money? What the fuck you wish you could be normal? Give me your money, I help you. Stop lying. You don't really realize how things are working right now, what is privileged, what is not privileged, what is different. You don't even understand human nature if you just look at your existence. So why you can't come up with any ideas of what you want to do next is because you're trapped within your own blindness. You have a small sample size. Remember that scale of how the brain works, and it says first experience is the foundation of all of our beliefs? Some of y'all foundation is like this small. Y'all on like a mini house lot. Like somebody's driveway is your house. And you looking at cats who live on a wide plane and going, how does Steve Jobs do that? Exposure, that's it. He's not special. You got the same brain Steve Jobs has. The only difference is you don't have the exposure because you keep going, I'm true to my block. I'm true to where I come from. I don't give a fuck. No, get your ass up and go. Like, how many of y'all just got in your car and just drove to a strange town in California, got out your car, walked around, brought shit, and talked to the locals? Or do y'all just run back and forth to work every day and you wonder why you're trapped in your own ignorance? You so busy, you stupid. You so busy. That should be a t-shirt. You so busy, you stupid. Keep going.
And so we get caught up validating our assumptions from what we find in the here and now.
So you get caught up, instead of you, okay, so let me show you how time is being used. Instead of you growing and gaining more knowledge, you're caught up in validation. You spend more time validating your ideas with people and finding people who think like you to validate your position, as opposed to using more of your time to grow your position. Y'all see the difference? Keep going.
But the continents used to be pushed against each other. Dinosaurs walked the planet for millions of years.
Wait, stop it. Do you realize big ass animals that if you hit them in the gut, they wouldn't even feel it? It's like you're a mosquito, walked the planet for millions of years, and you don't even sense it today? Like, you haven't even been here longer than dinosaurs were. Oh, we'll never go nowhere. I think the dinosaurs thought the same thing. Keep going.
And we are not the only hominid to evolve.
We're not the only what's the word looking for? Sapiens.
Sapien.
There's many sapiens that's been born. Many of them died off. I think it was 7 or 8 sapiens. That's the estimate of different forms of human beings that were born that did not make it. Right? We've been here for such a small glimpse. If time was a clock, we've only been here for the last second. That's how much time we haven't been here. Yet we have this, but our brain has this greater than life, been here forever, know everything. Keep going.
Looking to the past can provide essential context for understanding where we are now.
So many of us read history a lot of time for affirmation, affirm what we believe. We don't read history to expand. It is so important to expand. Trust me, as you expand, in business, people always say, where do you come with this creativity from? I'm a multidisciplinary learner. You know the best way to learn business? Don't read business books. Read around business. Business is a multidisciplinary art. It's not just one thing. Business is not about, somebody said the other day, he's talking about logistics and factories. He said, wait, stop. As I was explaining to you about these logistics of how Walmart whooped Kmart ass and positioned itself as a dominant store, let me explain something that I did not translate to you. Factories is a room full of people. If you want to improve your logistics system, you got to improve human culture and human relations. But a lot of us think, when we say factories, it's an AI just doing this mathematical compute to put an item out. No, it's a group of people in a room that you have to synchronize around these principles and ideas to have this output to produce this item at a certain rate. That's so important that when you think about business, it's all bio. It's all bio. You know how business became econ? Economics is still not considered a science, right? But they were fighting for value in the academic world. So they started to gravitate towards math instead of bio. Even though bio makes more common sense about, we think about economics, we should be talking about biology and psychology and those type of things, right? But they gravitated towards econ because they was looking for respect. They even started pulling math and physics to justify business. That's why a lot of y'all think, I can't learn business because it's so mathematical. It's not. Some of the coldest people in business they reject econ. It's not saying that econ doesn't have some cool things, but the over leveraging econ, like you ever hear black people, the reason black people are poor because they need to learn more about economics. Well, you need to learn more about people. That's what business is about. The coldest business people, Wall Street is not ran by econs. They use econs as the face of Wall Street. You know who Wall Street's ran by? Brooklyn street dudes. No, I'm not exaggerating. It's true. Real street dudes. English, they ran by British street dudes. Like hood dudes. White hood dudes who have strong common sense. That's why they say your grandmother's often smarter than a college graduate, because they have more context. Even a college student has a lot of content, they don't have any context. A lot of them Brooklyn dudes got context like a motherfucker. They know how to think. A lot of times in school, thinking, so remember that asymmetric versus symmetric? You lose that in school. School teaches you symmetric. They over-leverage symmetric. You get a good grade or bad grade. If you want to go this level, you got to do this, that. It'll be this or this. So you come in the real world, you still playing a symmetric game. Like he said with the pick me, these principles are taught in these institutions because they were generating labor for factories. But the reality of it, it's not, in all schools, it's not, but I'm not an anti-school because I think school has a lot of value. But sometimes we don't know how to think beyond the experience we had in school. Right? And so what happens is, this is why a lot of entrepreneurs are C-level students, because they didn't really adopt a lot of those ideas. And then when they got in the world, they had to kind of like pay attention, observe, and figure shit out. And as they started, they picked up a lot of these principles through observation. So really, I can honestly tell you, this: if you went to a strong street hustler, you might say, this cat said some of the same shit you say in class, because it's the language of the wild. Let me give you a better example. If you take a dog and you throw him in the woods, how long do you think it takes to die? No time. You know why he couldn't die? He can't read the language of the woods because it's all invisible. The language of survival is all invisible, but it's a group of rules. If you break it, it will speak to you. Right? The wolves are passing down this wisdom knowledge over generations, and they're adapting, right? So the wolf is out there, and he's like, yo, well, look, don't go there. Don't let that downwind hit you, because if that downwind hit you and those hyenas smell you, bro, you ain't got that. You don't want that kind of smoke from them hyenas, right? But a dog will go out there, and they expect a structure that's man-made. Well, I'm hungry. Where my food at? I'm bouncing my toes. Ha ha, you like that shit, huh? No food coming? What the fuck? The wolf says, yo, you gotta take that animal down. You gotta kill it. You don't have any nuggets? Like, that's the difference. It's a huge fucking difference. There's invisible rules that we're moving in. That's why I'm saying this for this portion of the class, I'm going to introduce so many invisible rules that don't make sense based upon growing up in the hood. But if you say you were able to dig up a hustler from the 70s and 60s, they know a lot of this shit because they're out in the wilderness. Or they might not be a wolf, they might be a hyena. They might be a motherfucking what's that hog? The hog there with the spikes on it. Yeah, warthog. Right? A Tasmanian devil or some shit, right? They out, but they're in the wilderness and they still have rules they understand that because you've been in the backyard, in a curated backyard with a nice little warm house with a heater, with a nice little pillow and shit. You walk around with a little bell so they can hear you coming, and you have an open door. You can go in the house and come out and lick the owner and go back outside and sit in there and whistle at the bird, bark at the birds because you're never gonna catch one. Wolf look at you like, you look weird as shit. That is the difference between entrepreneurs and people who have jobs. We literally see it the exact same way. And then when you come out here, you're like, well, here's the rule is that if you're hungry, you're just supposed to just sit in the corner, and as long as you don't pee on anything, the food is coming. And we're looking at you like, you just came out here with that dumbass rule? That rule doesn't apply. So that's why I'm going to introduce so many ideas, because you, as a black community, when you were made a slave, you were turned into the working class. They retarded your growth. White folks' early complaints about black people was, I don't want to integrate with them because they're behind us by 200 years. Let me say this again. Wisdom comes from culture. So when you have a healthy culture staying alive, we're passing down knowledge and wisdom that we don't say it's knowledge and wisdom. Like, I can pass this to my daughter in a simple way, through stories, through conversations, just the way we do things, right? So you go to culture, let's say you go to another culture and you grab a water and start drinking. They be like, hey, we don't do that here. You do it this way. But you may find out the reason they did that is because at one point, this is how they survived to weather some type of illness that is local that hits them, right? Now, if somebody drops you in that culture and you don't have any history, you are actually retarded in your growth. So they set us free, and they didn't download 200 years of training and knowledge to us. They said, good luck, do what the fuck you can. But by the way, Jim Crowism coming for you. Jim Crow comes along, you're the working class, right? Maybe one or two may escape it, but pretty much go to work. So then mama says, you gotta work twice as hard to get half as much. And she was right from the way she was socialized. But we never heard somebody teach us the language of builders. So today we all went to school to a system was designed to train the workers to work. We get jobs at Google, we get jobs at Meta, we get jobs at all these cool places, we're making cool salary, and they give us these titles that are falsely assessed. And now we think we are wolf because the company called us the wolf of this department. But if once you take that wolf and you fire them, and everybody knows this shit if you ever had a corporate job, and they put your ass out in the woods and tell you, guess what? We're not coming to get you, and we're not bringing you no food no more. Many of y'all perish. And the wolf would be like, well, why don't you just do this? This is what I did last week. This is how I ate. And dog would be like, yeah, but I'm just going to wait to be picked again. Somebody going to hire me. Somebody got to pick me. Somebody give me an opportunity. Somebody got to put me on. And the wolf's like, yo, you can't put me on. This game ain't meant to be put on. If you just watch the wind and you watch the movement of this wood, the animal will cross at a certain time, but you got to watch it. You got to learn to see they're invisible. And the thing is that often the dog, even when the pattern happens, the dog says, "Oh, why did the thing just run by me? That's stupid."
Man.
You guys see that huge gap? So if you don't learn these principles, these mental models I'm giving you next, that means you are walking through the woods like a dog, trying to feel it out, thinking just because you was the meanest pit bull on the block, you're going to survive with these wolves. You're not. You're not going to make it. I think it's about time.
Man.
We in this class. Next week when we get back, we're going to start off with, go to the next slide, I'll show you what we're starting with next week. When we come back, the map is not the territory. This is game, recognized game. This is going to be one of the coldest. This is going to probably be the whole class. The map is not the territory. This is going to show you how, I'm going to show you what the whole the class at court taught about beliefs. Now I'm going to put it into strategy format. And this is going to show you how to use it now to make some fucking decisions. That being said, any you know what? This is, you know what? I'm going to have the ushers take your ass out. Anyway, any questions before we go home? We good online? Everybody good online?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, my man has a question before we go. I want to make sure every brother and sister got a question. We're going to respect those questions.
Next week?
Yeah, next week. We're back next week. Okay, cool. So that being said, as they say in Washington, D.C. and Brooklyn, by the way, this is the Brooklyn Dodgers. You know, this is Willie Mays' hat. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all was like, B, is he wearing a blue Boston cap? No, I ain't wearing a Boston ass cap. Anyway, this is Dodge. This is another black caps. Anyway, with y'all being said, y'all have a good night. Peace.